Chapter 26, something of an interlude. Science consultation
Chapter
reception.
37,
Science
try to get
consultation
used to it
reception.
1/2.
I once
Azalea,
punched the
Academy
Archbishop who had
student,
laid his hands on the
investigating day
believers and was
the
sent
start
to
of the
Shiki.
investigation.
At that
I call it
time,
investigation,
there was nobody to
but I
protect
already
me,
know that
and
Fenrir
even
is
when I
no
was
longer
sent to a
here.
remote area,
So I'm trying to make sure
because
that the
public
students
punishment
of
would
Azalea
cause
Academy
many problems,
won't end up
I
in
had
trouble,
prepared myself
and the
to quit being
troublemakers
a
of
Shiki
Shiki
if this
don't
was
cause
God's
problems
intention.
for the students of
But
Azalea
once I
Academy.
actually started living
That's
in
the most
Shiki,
difficult part, though.
I found the life
Well,
here
then, we will
very
move in
satisfying.
groups that were divided in
The air is
advance.
fresh,
The
and
means
the
of
food
communication
is delicious.
Ash
The
had
few children here
gathered
love
all
me,
the students,
and more
was
importantly,
instructing
there
them.
aren't any priests,
Perhaps he's used to work like
bishops,
this,
or annoying
seeing that he's
colleagues,
both calm
sisters,
and efficient,
who look down
and he
on
looks
me.
quite mature.
Human relationships
He's probably
in the
much
kingdom
more
didn't suit
composed
me.
than I was at 15
At
years
first,
old.
I
in
was
his
worried
life.
because,
in addition,
Shiki
as a safety
is
measure,
rural area,
each group
which
will
tends
be
to be
xenophobic,
xenophobic,
one
but there was a
person from
different
Shiki
kind
as
of
a guy.
perversion.
Everyone,
please do
challenges
not
in
cause
Shiki,
any trouble.
So my concerns
everybody
quickly
responded to
disappeared.
Ash's words.
Anyway,
in beautiful
enough talking
unison.
about myself.
In response,
I still
we
continue
also
my
greeted
work
them
as a
and stood in
sister
front of
in
our
Shiki.
assigned groups.
A whole mass.
We explained the
Pray,
areas we were in
take care of
charge
people's health
and our roles
and
in
teach
battle.
the people of Shiki.
I'm in
how to
charge
write.
of the group
Among
with
those
Ash
jobs,
and Ms.
there is
Nephrite.
one important
It's
job
a bit of an
that the
unpleasant
priest and I do
combination,
in turns.
but I have to do my best to
Consultation
deal with
about
it.
CLO.
Otherwise, I won't
Yes,
be able to show my
it's
face to
counseling
Gray,
or
who I
listening
had
to
to exploit.
confessions. And Lady
It happens
Violet,
less in
who's
Shiki,
flying in the sky
where there aren't
right
many
now
people
because of
around
my desperate
than when I was in the
excuse.
capital.
But
Besides,
that doesn't mean
those
it
two
doesn't
are
happen
excellent
at
at
all.
combat.
It's usually something like soothing
is
a
an
crying
expert
child
child
in a fight with their parents, and depending on the
and
game
hearing
route,
them
he's
out,
even
or
contracting
listening
to
to
an
an
amazing
amazing
about the
spirit
husband
called
who
Carbuncle
often doesn't
shit.
return home.
I wish
The
I had
rest
even
are
a
key
taste of his
stories
talent in
about,
magic.
or
in addition,
Mr. Yellow's
please keep
dubious
this in
heroic
mind.
tales.
Shiki is
You want to become
somewhat
closer to
place.
CLO?
I explained
you guys
this
are
to
married,
Sir Ash
right?
yesterday.
It's because
there may
we're
be other
married.
people who've heard about it.
Meanwhile, with many
Today,
of you thinking
I was
there's no
consulting
way
Io
such
about her
strange people would
relationship
be
with her
here,
husband.
he's definitely
According to her,
exaggerating.
recently she had expressed
few
her
students
desire
laughed
to become
quietly
closer
at my
as a
words
married couple
as
with
the
her
Lord
husband.
Governor,
But because she had been
Ash
so
reprimanded
busy
them with a
dealing
cough.
with the aftermath
Well,
of the Fenrir
at least they're paying
ordeal,
attention to my
that she
words.
hasn't been able to do in
Frankly
practice.
speaking, I
No,
hope they keep laughing.
she's been trying to do
In
it.
fact, perhaps
but
because
she
of what
kept getting
happened earlier,
cold feet at the
Chartreuse
most important
and Ms.
time.
Nephrite.
That's why
looked
she came to
serious.
consult with me about
Yes,
what to
for
do.
example.
On the
Actually,
contrary,
luckily or
I'm the one
luckily,
who wants to
there's
know a
an
way
easy
for
to
people of
understand
opposite
idiot
sexes
coming here
to get
so I'll
closer.
use him to explain.
I also want to become closer with the
kittens of
priest
Azalea
as a woman.
Academy. He's
You're
still
welcome
formal
to
with
investigate
me,
in
even
my
though he
room
talks
in a
casually to
tie.
you and Gray.
I'll break water,
albeit it might be my
First,
fault for not
you must
telling
change
him
the
that there was
environment
no
under
need
their
to talk
feet
formally
and stop their
in the
movements.
beginning.
Creation,
Io says that this is the thing she's
Next,
particularly
you block their
concerned
sight
about, to confuse
Not that
them.
I think about it.
Make mass.
CLO speaks
In
formally
addition,
to Io.
you also restrain
who's
their
younger than
hands
him.
so they can't
Generally,
wield their weapons.
CLO talks
And
politely
lastly,
to older people.
you punch
and
them in their
guests
open body
and speaks
and
somewhat
render them
informally
immobile
to younger people.
Once he gets to know them to some extent,
Cyan,
he stops
the father,
using formal
Mr.
tone
Green,
with older
and I
people
work
too.
together in turns
He
to
probably started
neutralize
using
khaki.
formal tone
The
with
students
Io
of Azalea
because
Academy
she's from a
were
ducal
in
family,
commotion with
and he's decided
confused
that it's not the
expressions
right
due to
time
the
to
sudden
stop
happening.
using honorifics.
Just like I said,
Io
there's
seems to
similar
have
suspicious
perceived
people
that
in
as in
Shiki.
keeping distance.
If you have a
from
hard
her.
time making
But
judgments,
wasn't that ring given
please
to you
shout.
as a surprise
Do not make
gift?
decisions on your own.
Isn't it proof
Cooperation
that CLO
is
cares
important
about
in a group.
Io? Students
Yeah,
of Azalea
this ring
Academy
honestly
were
made me
confused by
happy.
my words.
Not only
but
did he
still
save
nodded
me
in
from my
approval.
lowest point,
Amidst
he
the
also
racket,
thought of
a
me
male
and gave me a
student
present.
wearing a white
It's
commoner
proof that
school
we're a married
uniform.
couple.
Judging by
I
the
want
shape
to
of
treasure
his
it
ears, he
forever.
must have had elf blood.
Did you come here as a
Hesitantly
prank
raised
under the
his
guise
hand
of
and
consultation?
No,
that's
what are you
not
going
it.
to do about that?
I am here to
person?
ask your advice.
His chaperone will take
because
this
we
guy
have not
later,
been able to do
so there won't be
anything
any
that
problems.
married couples do. In
Don't
my
worry,
knowledge.
he can take.
I can
punches.
understand that
You see,
CLO's been cherishing
This guy's
Io,
strangely
but he needs
talented
to take
at magic,
another step forward,
and he can handle a beating.
I wonder if
without
Io
any problems.
had a bitter
so he'll be
experience in the
fine.
past.
If it gets
I have a
worrisome,
feeling that they won't
he'll
be
become
revived
closer
as long as a
if she
woman
doesn't
approaches
become
him.
honest
By
with herself.
chaperone.
Do you mean his
And
family?
she doesn't seem to be aware whether she likes CLO.
Nope,
as
not
the
really.
opposite sex.
Status-wise, this person
It seems
is
to me
technically
that they're
from a
trying to start a
marquee
romantic
family,
relationship.
so it's probably
after getting
somebody like
married.
his guard. Well, noble marriages are
Everybody
like that,
was
I
surprised
guess.
by Cyan's
Maybe it's
addition
enough that
to a certain
both of them
student's
are trying to
question.
get along.
And the
with each other.
investigation investigation in Shiki began.
Don't tell me you guys
Is this
haven't even
hot
kissed
spring?
me. Yes,
Yeah.
it sprung up lately.
Wait for real.
You can go in. When
But
I made a
please be
joking
careful,
remark,
since the
Io
maintenance
averted
is
her
not
face,
complete yet.
as if to say,
Since
come
the
to
hot
think of
spring
it,
that's
was
exactly
included
right.
in the area of
Wow.
investigation.
Is this married
I
couple
decided that we'd
serious?
stop by,
No matter
for
how
a little
sudden the
explanation.
marriage was.
It's
They
because it
still
would be
haven't
bad
even
if they
kissed?
came here
Are they
carelessly
pretending to
and
be
got in trouble.
in a platonic relationship?
Lord Hartfield,
Or
there's
is
a
that how
man
noble
drowning
marriages
in the hot
usually
spring.
are? What did you
I
say?
wonder if I'm just not
Who in the
Lord
world?
CLO's type. Then Ms.
That's
Nephrite
unlikely.
noticed a person
It's
who
obvious
couldn't
that
see,
CLO likes
most likely
Io's
due to
physical
esteem.
appearance.
She was also
immediately rushed
praising her
towards the
personality,
person while
saying that it
talking,
had the
and I
nobility
followed
that he
after her.
lacked.
As I
So he
approached,
shouldn't
I
dislike
saw a
her.
figure drowning
But
in
in
a
that
hot
case,
spring face
why
down
is he
on
not
her.
laying a hand on
Oh,
her?
this is
Even if he's taking her feelings
helping out
into
Ms.
consideration,
Nephrite,
who
who
is
is at
desperately
least.
trying to awaken a man.
Why don't you just sneak
I
into his
grabbed
bed?
this dark
Just take off your
man
clothes
who
in
was
front
one.
of him.
75
I did that on the
meters
first
tall,
day.
holding
He
a
turned me
long
down.
sword as
You
big
actually
as
did it?
himself by his arm.
I was half
and
joking,
lifted him up with one
but
arm.
Io turned
It's
out to be
fine,
more
he's just
proactive
sleeping.
and adult than
Yeah.
I thought.
Oh, you're right. After asking
I can
about
hear
the
his
details,
breathing.
even
seemed
though
to
he's
have
still
seen through
wearing
her
self-abandonment and
This boy
rejected
sleeps
her.
a lot.
That's
Hey,
admirable of
wake
him.
up, Brown.
And also a
You'll
good
catch a
thing
cold
to
if you
do
stay in wet
if it ended up
clothes.
saving Io.
And in.
But it's
I'm not
unexpected that he
sleeping.
was able to
I'm
stop
not
himself from
sleeping
being
BOH.
carried away in front
guy
of
has
the
a lot of
arguably
courage,
most
as usual,
attractive and
considering
feminine
his
body in
age.
Shiki.
It's not
Maybe
strange if he
CLO
sleeps
himself
for a long time,
is more known,
but I wish he slept in a
maybe.
way that
Don't
didn't
tell me
make other
CLO's
people
a
worry.
Lilicon.
He's
What?
sleeping just like a small
Io's
child.
eyes widened in
Foo-foo.
shock at my
So
statement.
cute.
However,
CLO
occasionally
older than us.
enjoys talking
If he
with
keeps
Key about
acting
their
like
preferences
this,
in
he will
women.
cause trouble
So it's
for
not
other
like
people,
he's absolutely
and if he's
not
an adult,
interested in ladies. He should exercise
However,
some self-restraint.
maybe
the fact that he can
Ms.
hold back
Nephrite
his
smiled
sexual
at Brown's
desires in front of
sleeping
Io
face
means that
and
he's
ash frown.
interested in the exact
I wonder if he's
opposite
jealous that the
type
girl
of
he
her
liked
body.
smiled at
The
someone
bodies
else
of the children,
and called him
which
cute,
symbolize
but I feel
the
like it's
admiration
slightly
of
from
life.
jealousy.
Yeah.
Is he simply
I said that
criticizing
Io's
the
body
situation?
was his type.
But I
just
should
moment
probably add a
ago.
follow-up.
Well,
just in
don't
case.
sweat the small
This
details.
child
isn't an adult.
At first, he
This
might have
boy is
rejected
7
you
years old
because he could
he
see
just looks like
through
an
your
adult.
feelings.
What? It's strange that he
Brown,
still
7
hasn't
years
kissed
old.
you until now.
Even
Mr. Bly is
Yeah,
conflicted
it's too
whether
strange.
to classify him
They're
as
married,
a Shota, so she
or an
shouldn't be
adult.
worried about what
Coo,
others
coo, coo.
think.
That's
and
right,
should even be
grow
blessed
more.
instead.
Good, very good.
She should become
Grow
more
healthily.
healthily. Cuckoo.
They're
Those
asking
kids
if
will
it's
be
okay
happy
for
for
a
a sister to
I
encourage
was told that
people
somebody
to
very
act on their
clearly
sexual
suspicious
desires.
was lurking
It's all
around.
fine as long
So
as
I
they
want to
don't
check it
overdo
secretly. I also
And
want to
sure
kiss the
enough,
priest.
A suspicious
and marry
man
him.
was there.
According to the
You
teachings,
can even say
it's
that
all
people
good
who
as
look
long
at
as
his
it's
appearance and
consensual,
actions
and we don't
think
overindulge.
that it wasn't suspicious
In that
would
case,
be weirder themselves.
what should I?
Please
No,
look, Baron Hartfield.
I should respect
There's a
Lord
chance
CLO's
that he's the
preferences.
one who brought the
Even if it
fenner in
includes
question.
young children.
We should follow
the
him
same
and
sex,
investigate animals, monsters, or the undead.
Ah, yeah, it's fine.
Wow, you're
He's
pretty
a black
open-minded
magician
Io,
who
who falls into the good
she all right?
category.
Isn't
even
Io
within
just
Shiki
forcing
citizens.
herself to accept
He's
it?
growing mushrooms.
Is there any way to solve this?
Is it magic mushrooms?
Now that I
think about it.
No,
Recently
just
it opened up
shiitake.
near Shiki.
Is that code for something?
Oh yeah. No, it's
I have
really
an
just
idea.
shiitake.
But that's not good,
Kids
Io.
find a shiitake
You not
in
only have to
mushrooms,
recognize
he
it,
grows
but
very
also
delicious,
correct it if
so
it's a
it's
crime.
popular among the
In
children.
other
of Shiki.
words,
you mean
moreover,
that's right.
He even came
You
up
have
with
to
a way
make
to
him
harvest
realize
them
how
all year
attractive you
round.
are, so he'll
So
have
he's a big help.
absolutely no
I'm really
interest in
grateful
other
that he's
people.
sharing with us.
I think that we should
Once we went
respect
back to
each
Shiki to
individual's
eat lunch,
choice of romantic
Ash,
partner.
who had
But
gone
the
to the
problem right
bathroom,
now
came back
is the
in a hurry.
husband who's
Ms.
making his
Nephrite,
lovely wife
I think she
worries
ate
so
a
much.
poisonous plant.
In other words,
Could you please
you
give
have
her
to
an
guide
antidote?
CLO as his
Yeah,
wife,
of course.
so he doesn't
Show me
go
her
down the
symptoms.
path of crime.
I'll prepare it
Yeah,
right
that's
away.
true. And
what did you say?
now that his walls are starting to come down,
Hearing Ash's
there's
words,
a chance that he'll
not
start
just Ms.
seeing
Nephrite,
you as the
but also
opposite
the
students
sex.
around rush
I
towards
see.
him worriedly.
That's why.
I
If
checked
you
the girl
aggressively
Ash
approach
brought
her
a
now,
princess
CLO
might not
it's
be
her
able to hold
HMP.
himself back.
Baron Hartfield.
Then what should I
How
do?
could you punch a girl
Hell,
in the
leave it to
stomach?
me.
I will
Asterisk,
prepare
cough,
the
cough,
perfect
asterisk
situation
shit.
for
What are you
you.
doing? Good
Thank
Lord.
you.
Just as it
Miss
was getting to the
Cyan.
good part.
That's right.
The poison
Hot
was
spring has
finally
recently
spreading
opened
through my
near
body, and
If she
making
takes
me know,
advantage of that,
my body demands
even
CLO
numbed.
will have to become
What?
conscious of her. All the people around
Well,
her were put off.
he's
by
probably
the
simply
girl
not
that was
conscious
coughing
of
out
her
poisonous
because
herbs.
he's busy.
I
So
nudged
if he's pressed
Emerald's
now,
head for saying
he should be
something
willing to
stupid.
do it.
Took
He's
her from
caused
Ash's
Io
arms and
so
Princess
much trouble.
carried her
He
to
should repent a
Ivory, who
little.
was passing by. Since she
Chapter
wasn't injured,
27.
Ivory made
Somewhat
a
of an
blatantly
interlude.
disgusted
The results
face,
of observation
which Emerald
and
answered with an
consultation.
equally disgusted face.
This is a good
after
hot
looking at
spring.
him. One of them
A
is a doctor who
mysterious
gets
hot
excited by
spring
looking at
near
injuries,
Shiki.
while the
There I
other
was
is a
soaking in hot
compounder
water
who gets
alone.
excited at the
It's
prospect
a natural
of
hot
experiencing
spring
new
in the
poisons.
truest sense of this
Both
word,
of them have
without
the same
any
desire
roof
to
or
cure
walls,
others, and
so
can be
why does
called
it
open and
manifest
scent.
in such a weird
In a
way?
way, it reminds me of
Is that even a
Japanese
right
hot
word for
springs
this?
from my previous
Kabaddi,
life.
kabaddi,
I didn't
kabaddi,
frequent them much,
kabaddi.
though. Kabaddi,
The hot
kabaddi,
spring water
kabaddi,
quality
kabaddi.
is unknown.
I was
But the
desperately
research showed that it wasn't harmful, who was trying to sneak
considering
out
whether to
during
draw
a noon,
hot water
so she wouldn't
or
go to
open it
Lady
up for the
Violet.
cheeky citizens who
Cool.
don't have a bath.
I expected nothing
I wonder
less
if
from her.
Cyan will
This
probably
athletic
bring me a change
ability
of clothes.
can't be underestimated.
As for the reason why I'm soaking in
Ash,
a hot
what are those
spring,
two doing?
It's because my
I don't
clothes
know.
are dirty.
By the time I came,
we heard that a
they were
monster
already
we'd never
doing
seen
this
before was spotted,
incomprehensible
so
dance.
a few of us checked the
Fwahaha.
surrounding area.
As I was
patrolling
patrolling
the area with
Cyan.
Cyan. Is your ether light going fine?
Oopsie, my foot
If you
slipped.
so wish, I will
Hiya.
not hesitate to use
She had a
Ugly
bad fall
Destiny
while
as
taking
the
me
great
down with her.
formula user.
As a result,
I ended
I'm
up
sorry,
being
what is
caught
she
under
saying? dove into the muddy soil. This one's a bit difficult. Mud all over me. Though, by the way, judging from the situation, Cyan was relatively unscathed. Students who attend the school strange built by our but the person herself said that she hadn't done the investigation to reduce the unrest. That if I wanted to wash the mud off, I should do it at the nearby hot springs since we were already close. Who can use many different types of magic. She said that she would bring me the change of clothes. Can use my newly developed detection. I did tell her that I didn't mind returning to my mansion. I am surprised you could catch all that. God's envoy is telling you that, but also I can understand her because it reminds me of my dark past. Obediently. No, if you won't. But apricot severity is much, much worse than Cyan threatened me. Even I wasn't a look of compassion that she only showed during a prayer asked me with a smiling yet a tired Usually expression. She would sweep things forgive me for my rudeness with a simple sorry. Baron Hartfield. So what does she always deal with those She even dutifully prepared a towel. I see. It's been a while since I'm not happy about that sympathetic look. I soaked the towel in hot water, Green's compound her daughter, and placed it over my face. 13 years old. It's something an old man would do is that she has no one is watching tolerance against poison, and it doesn't make her body go numb anymore. My birthday is still a long way off, and it's not like it's an anniversary of any kind. I doubt she's preparing a surprise party until they try to get used to it. Then, she really just slipped. During the investigation conducted in the afternoon, a voice called out to me monsters in the vicinity. It was a woman had the students fight them. A pleasant and dignified voice that was when a little misstep in teamwork resulted in an upper arm injury. In one of the I only know one person, though there was no worry of debilitating after. I came with Miss Cyan. It was still a wound that could end up a light. I came here to wash off proper treatment. But is it a wound? The familiar person who entered before me, a foolish patient who ingested an unknown poison out of their perhaps because the steam is a bit dense. She can't see. Just leave it to me. For some reason, the woman seemed to not a trace of it would be left behind. I heard the sound of clothes rubbing, including the stains. It sounded like she was coming towards me. I'll fix once I removed the towel. Let's get started. Covering my face. Oh, hold on up. There was Ivory. Now that we're both out of nowhere, we can fulfill the promise we made earlier. I'm glad the patient is not female. Lady Violet. There's no doubt the water temperature faces much danger as is. Lord, but I like to find relief in Lady Violet. It's someone with just a towel wrapped around her body. Because after performing the necessary first aid, before Ivory would ask his patient I found myself to take off soaking their uniform in the hot spring and the sight of him panting as he adhering strictly to the rule that it's bad manners to soak the towel in hot water. It's plenty disturbing even now. We were soaking in the hot spring together while wearing nothing at all. The medicine I whip up wouldn't be able to heal this between us. Ms. Nephrite, our clothes had disappeared before healing skill, so we were both stuck in an awkward atmosphere. The student receiving the treatment was without a nice hot spring, and though he still had his shirt on, it's a little too hot. Being ogled by a female student made him hang his head down. If this place was made public, it would be a nice location. I asked Ash if it was all right to leave her be, but he replied with a wry smile. No, calm down. Curiosity, calm down, was part of her charm, and what to find in your previous life makes sense. You lived in a studio with your sister, positively, and you had many opportunities to touch. I couldn't help see women's bodies because in the afternoon, didn't you? The lust demon like you're not accustomed to himself. You just have to deal with it. As if it was only natural he did so. Lord CLO, from the rather tight restraints, Lady Violet touched my body from behind and went around and drew closer to the girls from the academy. What should I do? Perhaps now that I think about it earlier, I lived with my younger sister. I heard his advances were utterly spurned. I never looked at her as the opposite after being depressed for a few minutes, I've only ever touched women at work because it was more convenient, and I never saw them in a perverse light. I'm rather envious of his personality in a way. I can hear my heart pounding. How could I have not noticed their charm? I'd have dealt with her differently. We don't need to court each other. But because it's Lady Violet, what do you think of a relationship I can't help feeling nervous and ends with our bodies? I don't know why Lady Violet suddenly became so proactive. Forgive me. But I just hope she doesn't realize how nervous I am. But was obviously turned down. It's like that. Khaki lamented now that we're like rejections. Rather than thinking that we might ask them to seek him kissing stage change and do what I wanted to do on my first day here. Lady Violet getting embarrassed when I think of what I tried to do on the first day. No, I'd better stop with that thought. Please calm down. I don't think I'd like such a Lady Violet. Lady Violet was clearly. I wonder if someone like that coming on. How is she more nervous than popular after bringing it up herself? I've never had anyone flirt with me. I wonder if someone gave her the idea. It made me really. What are you talking about? It's not strange for a married couple to show their naked bodies to each other. Any kind of relationship with him will only serve to hurt you. Your voice is trembling whenever you feel scared. Got it. Thanks, Ash. Ash looked to be in a rather bad mood. Lady Violet's voice was obviously shaking. I feel like it was written in some book that when you see people who are more nervous than you are, I mean, you calm down. If you think you aren't popular, now I know that it refers to the exact situation I'm in could ever be popular. Well then, is she trying to calm down a little? Oh, by the way, out the situation. Was Ash your name? Yeah. How do you feel about strengthening the sensation I'm feeling from my back? And Ash, all I have to do is hit on for some fully focus on memorizing it to remember it later. Did you consult that guy doesn't get himself executed? What's wrong, might you be talking about? I don't see you leaping for joy despite obtaining a new sword. Knowing
Is the workmanship
Cyan,
poor?
she must have gotten the wrong idea.
No, there's no problem.
Even so, hiding our clothes and getting us covered in mud is too much. But to think that guy made something like this.
However,
what's wrong? The fact that
You're acting
consulted
strange.
Cyan means that
You're right. I need to
get
do something
stronger
wrong
to protect her too.
Oh, what was that?
I can't let something
My own
like
words
this get me down.
just now irritated
15:30. It felt
It was
weird
the appointed
coming
time
from me.
Gray
and
memories
Mr.
from
Bly
my
brought
previous
with him the
life,
sword that was made
as if I shouldn't
for
have said
chartreuse.
that.
Normally,
No,
he wouldn't.
you
leave
haven't
the
done
smithy,
anything wrong.
but I'm guessing he
Lord
wanted to spend
CLO.
more time with Gray.
Huh.
However,
Lady
Violet muttered
Chartreuse
in a voice
held
that
the
seemed like it
sword
would
handed to
disappear
him,
at any moment.
ascertained its
as
condition,
she put her face
and
against
checked
my
the
back,
quality of
most
craftsmanship with a
likely
strange
an
look on his
embarrassment.
face.
Good work,
I only
Mr. Bly.
consulted with her
I do
about our
apologize
relationship.
for it. Was such
I
a
want to
sudden
get closer
request.
to you.
No,
Lord CLO.
I feel grateful to CLO.
Yeah,
I
that's
consider
adorable.
Gray to be
Very
one of
adorable.
the finest lads
It's
around.
an adorableness
To
different
craft the
from her
sword in the
usual
same shared
dignified
space.
self.
She's just so
What a
adorable,
blissful moment.
and I'm happy that she's
What the
going
heck
such
is he
lengths
saying
for
with
me,
his refined
and she's so
voice and
adorable
looks?
and cute.
He'd be
and
a cool, if
All right,
unsociable,
I can do it now.
decent-looking guy.
I don't know what
if
exactly
not
that
for his
means,
predilections,
but I feel like I can do it
I hope
now,
you haven't laid a
and
hand
Lady
on my
Violet
son.
will also
You
allow
fool.
me to.
Beauty
I'll turn her
is
right
meant
to
to be
be
cherished
cherished
and never crushed.
So you want to
hem,
hem,
but next time
I came to
I want
the
him to
hot
stay over
spring
and take a
after
bath.
hearing about it from Lady
What the hell are you
Apricot.
trying to do to my son,
Oh,
you bastard?
you were here too.
I thought I'd use
Lord
the
CLO?
bathwater to forge a sword and make
However,
it a family heirloom.
the moment we heard
All
that
right, I've
voice,
decided.
Lady
I have to
Violet
warn
and I
Gray to
hurriedly
never
separated.
use the bath
As
in
we
Mr.
turned
Bly's
towards the
home,
direction
no
of the
matter the
voice,
circumstance.
it turned out to be Gray.
He may not lay a hand
When he confirmed our
but
presence,
he's still too
Gray
much
also
of a
started
degenerate.
taking off his clothes.
That's the reason he
and
was
was
kicked
about to
out of
join
Capital
us.
with.
For
I
heaven's
can't
sake,
decide if I was
just go
saved
somewhere out of
or if
sight
I missed out.
and make weapons.
Ooh, it was you, Gray.
Come
There's
to
no
think of it,
connection between
we promised
this
to go
and
in
that.
together before.
None whatsoever.
Great timing.
What is it, Char?
Let's have quality family
Why are you
time
shaking with
toads.
such a conflicted look
Huh.
on your face?
Ms. Violet looked at Gray
You,
and froze.
Something wrong.
By the way,
The investigations
Gray
had
dutifully
wrapped up
followed
earlier
the
on the
hot
first
spring
day,
etiquette,
and
I
everyone
taught
was
him
free to
before
do what they
and wrapped a
wanted.
towel around
So
his
someone
waist
sightseeing
after
around
taking off his
Shiki
clothes.
or got
Gray.
started on their report.
Yes, what's wrong?
That was when I came
About
across
your
a
chest.
male student.
Yes.
in
Do you mean
agony,
the scar?
resting his
I'm
head
sorry,
on the wall of
but
a
it's a
building.
scar that won't go
Judging
away
from his uniform,
even after being
He
healed.
appeared to be in no
Gray scar is
The one
a
in
small
charge of my
scar
group
on his
today
chest
is a
inflicted on
nun
him by
called
the
Cyan.
previous lord.
It's not
a boy
painful
from
to
the
look
group
at,
Cyan,
but
was
it's not
responsible
inconspicuous either.
If my memory
Is that what's
serves
bothering
me,
her?
this kid
No.
gave off the impression of being somewhat
your
meek
chest
for a noble.
Yes.
The kid
you
looked
were
more
boy
timid
Gray.
and likely to be
Pardon?
henpecked.
I'm sorry
rather
all
than
this
gentle
time.
towards girls.
I was convinced you were a girl.
Perhaps Cyan
Great.
let
And I
loose
thought for
in
a
the
few
absence of
seconds,
the priest, and he
way
was
odd,
terribly taken aback
and let out a shocked
She
voice
could
at the
certainly
same
be
time.
considered
Author's
beautiful,
note.
judging by
The
looks
woman with
alone.
good voice.
So maybe he had
She has
fallen
the
for her
same
at first
voice as
sight,
the same
and the
actress whose
illusion had
voice
shattered
during the
later.
Otome game.
I'm aware.
So her voice is
I know that
naturally
people of
good.
cloth are not allowed to wear undergarments.
Chapter 28.
Yeah. It all
But
started
the nuns
with a
normally
decree.
refrain from showing
The
skin,
army will be
and
arriving
it's considered
here.
impertinent
Yes.
to view them
It was early
sexually.
afternoon with the sun high up in the sky. Gray, my secretary, welcomed me with the sudden news when I returned home. Monsters are expected to become more active with the appearance of a Fenrir. Hence, the surrounding
Chapter
area
39
is to
in
be
the sky.
investigated, and
I am flying
extermination
through the
is to
sky.
be carried out if
It's not a
necessary.
metaphor.
Was the
My
gist of
body
it.
is actually
A
soaring
pro
through
team
the
was
sky.
dispatched from the neighboring
wind
town to
is
investigate the
stimulating my
incident
skin,
earlier,
as
and
if
based on a
caressing it.
report written with the
Try
help
not
of
to be
data
thrown
collected
off.
in advance.
I put more force
investigation
into my
of the
arms
surrounding
than usual.
areas, and after a couple of days of
How did things
sojourn,
end up this way?
it had judged the town
M.M.s.
clean.
Our robot.
Moreover, there's a reason
Can't you
why the
fly a
Fenrir
little
attacked
slower?
us.
It's been over
Impossible.
3 weeks
I am
since the Fenrir
already
appeared and
flying
the incident with Miss
slowly.
Schwartz.
As
What do they mean to
it
accomplish
is
after all this time?
I'm flying through the sky
Who knows?
by hugging
I can
Ms.
only think
Robot's
that they
back.
mean to reinvestigate
Actually, even if I let
Shiki
go
on the points
I
you
wouldn't
mentioned
fall
earlier.
down due to some
And you say the
unknown
army personnel
force.
will include
Even
knights
Ms.
as
Robot
well.
couldn't explain
Yes.
it. And the wind
Members
isn't
of the Order
strong
of
either,
Knights
despite our
are
speed.
also designated
From what I've
as
heard,
military
the entire
personnel in
space
this
around
country.
Ms. Robot
But
is
only
protected
nobles
by
among them
lost
have the
technology.
privilege of
The
becoming
point
knights,
is,
and they're
it's
the
some
honorary
kind of
cream of the
incomprehensible
crop
force.
consisting of a select
So why am I
few
flying
elites?
in the sky?
Having
with Ms.
said
Robot?
that, if
The
one were to
reason
ask
is a
if the
sudden
system was
event
corrupted
that happened
then they should
several
likely
hours
not
ago.
expect an answer.
Having finished my work before the
Nevertheless,
students of the
there are
academy
many
arrived,
respectable knights.
I was sorting out
and
the
quite
materials
many in
and
the order
cleaning at the
are
mansion
rumored to
when
have
Ms.
difficult
Robot suddenly
personalities.
appeared from the sky.
And such elites
And
are supposed to arrive
all drive all the way here to investigate these boondocks together. For now, all I can say is this. She took me with her. Why? Your guess is as good as what was going on. She told me that I was the only one who hadn't flown with her before. Their intention she had come to steal the credit for subduing the There was a chance that a certain student could come to see me, and in order to seated as a family of three, Lord CLO told we were enjoying the lunch Lady Violet had prepared when she replied We have
as such
no
after
actual
hearing the
reason to
news.
go flying,
You're
right?
joking,
Is what I
No,
thought, but I
why?
also wanted to experience
For all
flying
intents
in
and
the sky.
purposes,
So I
it was
accepted
just a
her
hypothesis,
invitation.
apparently.
Everything was fine up
Rumors
until
that a
this
Fenrir
point.
had showed up in the
Ms.
vicinity
Robot glided
quickly
through the
spread
sky
to the
rather
neighboring towns at
relentlessly.
first.
It
We were
seems
the
that there's
only
no one
ones
worried
aware
that we'd
that
fall
only
down,
one
but
Fenrir
it's
had
still
appeared.
scary.
But a warning
I'm
had
sorry,
circulated
Ms.
reading.
Violet. Stay on the
I
lookout
received an
because there
emergency
may be
call.
more than the
I don't have
one
much
Fenrir
time,
that was subdued.
so we'll be heading to the
The
destination
Fenrir that was
right away.
subdued,
Ms.
captured
Robot,
in Shiki,
where are you going?
was put into a
Please,
dormant state by
don't
Gray's sleep
worry.
spell and
We'll
handed over
arrive
to the authorities.
by
However,
noon.
the towns
That's not
around
what I
Shiki
meant.
are still
Also,
apprehensive.
Ms. Robot,
and
you
hence
can talk normally,
they're in need
right?
of reassurance.
Why are you talking in broken
like how Ms.
sentences?
Schwartz gave
What
up the Fenrir
does
in order to
normal
quell the worries of the
mean?
townspeople
Oh,
here. Living
That's right. Beings.
Will the order
have
conduct their investigation
own
and conclude the
normal
matter settled
way
or will they make a
of
show of
living?
having subdued the
I didn't ask
Fenrir,
for a philosophy
which was already
lecture.
captured
And Ms.
handed
Robot
over?
accelerated.
The citizens
I no
of the
longer
country
had the time
in the
to
neighboring
think about the
towns
principle behind
trust
it.
the authenticity
Even though you lied
of
for my
organization.
sake, it's
much
impossible
higher
for
in
me
rank
to
than the
not
pro
hold a
team.
grudge
Am I
against
right,
them.
Lady Violet?
Lord CLO.
It's simple, Gray.
The
The will
will
of hundreds of thousands
Before
of
noon,
citizens
I was
is less
feeling
likely
listless
to
in the
lose
outskirts
to those
of the
amounting
town
next to
less than
Shiki,
1,000,
which was one
no
day's
matter
journey
what.
away. Meaning,
I don't really get what
we lack the
business Ms.
trust
Robot
and
had
credibility.
here. But if you
to
said that it was an
reassure the
emergency call,
citizens, it must have been an
that seems to
emergency
be the
call.
case.
So I decided to stop.
Lady
thinking about
Violet
it too
appeared
much.
to be
By the
sidestepping
way,
the question.
the reason
But
I'm at
this
the
land
outskirts
is largely made
because
up of
Ms.
people
Robot
who have
landed
caused
here.
some kind of trouble.
She
in the
said it was
past.
because when she
If
landed
thousands of the
inside
other
the
citizens
town,
happen to
she would
say,
sometimes
"This
be
is the
mistaken
truth,"
as a
then
monster and
that will be
attacked.
taken as
Apparently,
reality.
she could
Because
quietly
these
enter the
citizens
town
have
from here
zero
in something
or at
called
best
stealth
just a
mode.
smidgen
The sky
of
is
goodwill
blue
towards the
There are
troublemakers
students of the
Shiki.
academy in
That
this town
said,
too.
we're only speaking
And since
of
I wanted to
theories
avoid
here.
meeting them,
It's all well
I decided
and good
to
to
not enter the
hypothesize,
town.
but we
So
can't let
I
that
was
make
just
us
staring
jump at
blankly
shadows.
at the sky.
I'd like you to keep in mind
I was in that
blue
good
sky.
and evil
I thought
exists
calmly
everywhere.
but to be honest,
I didn't want to
I'm well
experience
aware.
it that much.
Expect the worst.
I might start
and do
enjoying
your
it if
best,
I experience it
right?
many times, but I
It
don't
isn't
want to do it
bad
for a
to
while.
consider all the
I wonder
worst
if we'll fly
possible
again
outcomes
on our
while
way
making
back.
plans.
Foo.
But being
I sighed
suspicious of
quietly
everything will
and
only
stretched my
cloud your
body as
thinking.
much as I could.
Meaning,
It's something I
take
usually
all
never
rumors
did
with a pinch of
because I
salt.
was worried about the
Moreover,
watching eyes.
Paused Lady
But in this
Violet
fine weather,
and looked at me
as I hear the
distressed.
hustle and
Even if it
bustle
had
from
lost one
town,
eye,
and
I
listen
still
to the
find it
chirping of
hard to
birds,
believe that you
it made me want to relax a
single-handedly
little.
defeated a
I don't have to
B-class
worry about the
monster.
time or
Fenrir is
evaluation,
considered more
and
or
more
less
than
average
anything,
among
I don't
the
have to worry
B-class
about people
monsters.
looking at me.
Typically, a platoon is dispatched
Just a
few
few
months
months
ago
ago,
with
I
even
would
the
have been putting
weakest
up
of the
front
B-class
even if
monsters.
nobody was looking at
The
me.
Fenrir's injury
No need to fight
aside,
alone, Lady
I have
Violet
no
seems to
intention
find it
of
difficult
becoming
to
depraved.
believe that I defeated
I'm
it
also
all
not
on
trying
my
to
own.
pretend that the past
However,
mistakes
I was in my peak
never
condition.
happened. I wouldn't
But
have come out of
even
it
if I have
unscathed
enemies,
had it been a
I
wild
also have
Fenrir.
allies.
In which
Instead
case,
of thinking
I
about
would have
using
chosen
them,
to flee if
I
I
started
had to
thinking
face it
about
alone.
how I didn't
But
want
at
to
the
lose
time,
them.
I
I'm
knew
happy
we'd be in
about
trouble
this
if I
change
didn't
in my
defeat
mindset,
it, which made
Did
me
you think that
disregard
anybody
a
would
lot
be
of
on
other
your side
issues.
now?
Also,
the
really,
fact that it was
I hate
injured
my
contributed
weakness.
greatly.
Seems like it'll take me
towards my
more
decision
time to
too.
get over my
But
emotional
Cyan had
wounds.
injured its eye,
But I have to treasure the
snapped
present
tendon of the
and
left
face
forearm.
forward. So it was in a
Not as
rather
someone who's
weakened state.
dependent as a
Hold
way
on.
of escapism.
I think Sister
or
Cyan
resigned as
only attacked it
compromise.
once.
But as myself,
and she
who
had
lives in the
gouged
present,
out its eye.
rather,
and
if I
landed
think
an
about it
attack
well,
that it sent
this is the result of me
shockwaves
saying
through
that I'd be
its entire body.
heartbroken if I
It
met
must have
Ash and
affected its leg
Chartreuse.
as well.
Lord CLO
In other
accepted
words,
it with a smile.
cease your opponent's
But there's a limit
resistance
to
in
how
one
pathetic
blow,
I can be.
and by immediately
Right now, I can even
landing
meet
another
them and
attack
stop
in
it.
succession.
Memories
You
of
could
being
destroy them.
indirectly
Cyan would call
to
it
a pulp by
destroying
the
the
two of
opponent
them
from the
during
inside
duel,
out while
flashback
leaving
to
the
my mind.
exterior
In the
unscathed.
end, I
Who
was
on earth
defeated
is
by His
Sister
Highness
Cyan?
and that girl,
A sister.
and was showered
Yeah,
with
a
ridiculing
combat type
gazes
one.
from both
What does that
students
mean
and
anyway?
teachers in the duel arena.
A combat type
I
sister
feel
is a
nauseous.
berserker
who
Or
uses her bare
you.
fist to
Okay.
fight instead of
Who, it's you, Ms.
weapons.
Robot?
Though
I'm fine.
Cyan's
Or
involvement has
you.
been kept under
Motion.
wraps
Sick.
upon her
From.
and the priest's
Writing.
request
Me?
in order to keep the
No, I'm
spotlight
not.
away from her.
I just spoiled my
Either
mood
way,
by remembering the
we've got to make
past.
the necessary necessary preparations to
not
welcome them.
good.
We'll have to secure
Yeah, it's not
lodgings,
good.
stock
But
food,
I wonder if Ms.
and relay
Robot's
the news
emergency
to the
matter
townspeople.
If it did,
Then I'll take care of the
ask her if we
provisions
can return
and the
slower this
necessary
time.
documents.
We might be
that
late
we
for
are
lunch,
required to
but I'll
produce.
probably feel like
I'll
throwing
secure the
up even
lodgings
if I
and
ate
tidy up
anything.
the mansion. Ms.
Then
Violet,
I guess it automatically
HM,
falls on me to
what's
inform
wrong?
the townspeople
After taking
make
a good
arrangements
look at
to
me
receive
and
the guests
seeming and
as if she
oversee
wanted to
everything.
ask me something.
I suppose each
Ms.
of us
Robot
can do other
would
necessary work
you
when we are done
like
with our allotted
to
tasks.
eat
Besides,
lunch
we can't
with
shirk our usual
me?
duties,
So there's a lot
suggested
to do.
thus.
Oh, author's
Yeah.
note.
Maybe we
Stealth
can make
mode.
use of this chance.
It makes
to do
things
that.
hard to
Great,
see.
help me out, but
Let's
not
get started
invisible.
on what we couldn't
The
complete
townspeople
before
know
Lady
it and
Violet
just ignore
arrived,
her and prune the
thinking,
trees
"Oh,
to spell out
it's that
welcome."
person.
What on earth were you two up to before I got here?
You're right.
Lord
Chapter
CLO.
40.
Didn't we
Bad
abandon our
premonitions
plans
tend to end
after
being
you
true.
mentioned it would look
We
like
were
a
sitting on the
mess
perfect
if we
sized
botched up
rock
the pruning and eating
so you got as
lunch
far
under
as
the blue
that.
sky.
Heck yeah.
This packed
When we
lunch
attempted to get the
seems
job
to be
done,
handmade by Ms.
there were
Robot,
either weird
and she
gaps
seemingly
in between the letters
prepared it,
or a few
so we
big
could eat it
branches had to be
together
cut
after
down
flying
here
in
and
the
there.
sky. So we
I'm
had to
trying
give
to
up.
not worry about
Then
where
what do
she
we
took
do
it out
to
from
welcome them,
or where the drinks are coming
There's
from.
no need to do.
I feel like I'll
anything
lose if I
weird,
do.
as long as we
This
take
is
care of the
delicious.
lodgings. Which is
Thank
why I propose
you
we line up
very
Gerbera
much.
full moons to spell
The
out
packed
the
lunch
letters.
that Ms. Robot
Great.
made was
I see.
delicious. All we need
There
to
were
do
many
is
dishes made by
replant the
using
flowers
vegetables
later.
and pork
All right,
that I've
let's
become
do that.
able to eat recently.
Lord CLO.
They have been drained of
As
excessive
both of us were
moisture
fired up
and
and ready to go
seasoned with
pick
the
some
possibility
flowers,
that the taste
Lady
would
Violet
change
stopped
over
us.
time in mind, making them suitable for a packed
Chapter
lunch.
29.
Actually,
Not an imagination.
I wonder if Ms. Robot
2
made
days
this
have
lunch
passed
in her
since I
current
received a
state.
report
She
that
held the
military
knife,
personnel
did the preparations
would be
and
arriving
grilled the meat.
unexpectedly.
No,
I heard that they were
halfway
scheduled
through,
to
I can
arrive
only
by
imagine
noon
her
today,
yelling, "Ha!"
but it seems like
as
they're running
everything
late.
is instantly done.
If I had
in
a cell phone at
strange
times like
way,
these,
using
I would be able to check what's going
incomprehensible
on,
power.
but
There are a lot of
unfortunately, there are
capable
no
cooks
such
and
convenient
chic.
items in this world.
No.
Although
Maybe
there are
this is the
means
norm.
of communication
Recently,
through
I've become
magic,
used to cooking.
It only
but
works
I've
for
only gotten
recorded
used to the
individuals,
act of
so
cooking.
I've not been
and
able
what
to
I
get in
make is
contact
still
with the
far
army
from
people.
being delicious.
It's boring. Lord
Sure
CLO
is.
and Gray
Waiting
eat it
outside
happily,
in
though.
hot weather,
When I
for
look at their
people who you
faces,
don't know
I feel
when they
happy,
arrive was
but I
more
also
boring
feel
than
a
I
little
thought.
guilty.
As long as we're
Partly
being
because
treated
I
as
have always been
inferior,
taught
we can't
that
take
cooking
action
is
carelessly,
not something
so we can
nobles
only
do.
wait.
I have always
If they were
been
late
against
for
the
a day or
nobles
two
cooking.
without
And
contacting
I took it out hard
us,
on her,
we would be able to take
who is
some
loved
actions,
not
but if
only
we
by His
move while
Highness,
they're only
but
late
also
for a
Ash
few
and
hours,
Chartreuse.
they'll look down on us.
The girl who made
saying that we
packed
couldn't even
lunches for
wait
them.
that long.
As
By
expected,
the way, about Ms.
it pains
Cyan,
me to find
while I was
joy
waiting,
in the action that
Lady
I had
Violet
denied
approached me
before out of
and spoke in a
jealousy.
quiet
What
voice that only we
is
could hear.
normal?
Then
Ms.
she
Robot
glanced toward Cyan.
I don't know
and
if she
I also
found my
followed
words
suit.
or my
Standing
current
there,
state curious,
unlike her
but
usual
Ms. Robot
hyperactive
stopped
brawler
eating.
sister self,
A distant
was.
expression on her face.
I hope the military
Actually, I
people
thought this yesterday
didn't come
too, but
across
how does she
problems
eat?
on their way.
Violet,
Fufu.
do.
A
You.
sister with a look
Like.
of compassion on
CLO?
her face,
Ka.
which made
Water.
everybody who knew her
That was a
usual
close call.
countenance
I
ask,
almost spat out whatever
who the
I
hell
was
is
eating.
this?
What is she
Usually,
saying out of nowhere?
she would complain
Like
about
I
having
fight
to wait
fright?
for so
Lord
long.
CLO's
would have gone
life
somewhere.
is full of fright.
But today,
No,
she was
I know that she
waiting
meant something
obediently
else.
with her back
If you ask
straight
me
and
whether or not I
beautiful.
like Lord CLO,
Why is Cyan so
and if you mean if I
quiet, you
like
ask?
or dislike
The reason
him
is
as a person,
simple. The
you're
current
right,
me would
Cyan,
say that I like
but
him.
why don't you relax?
He's kind to
little?
me,
Isn't being
accepts
intense
me,
like that
and
very
treats me
hard?
with care, and
It's
I want to
because
become
Priest
his
Snow
strength.
White
But
is
I don't
with
know
her
if
today.
this is because
Cyan likes him.
I like him as a man.
So she pretend to be a good
And
girl
the lie
in
Ms.
front of him.
Robot is
Or
asking
more like
about in this
being
case
nervous
is
around
probably
to make her
that
act like
kind.
that. But
In
why
other
would she bring it
words,
up out
it's
of
a mix of
nowhere?
embarrassment,
Don't tell me.
happiness, and
Ms.
excitement.
Robot, cheating
The priest
is
himself
wrong.
knows what
You.
she's like usually,
God.
but he's
Me.
the kind of person
Wrong.
who'll look at both
I
sides
was
of
wrong
her and
I
accept
guess
it.
Ms. Robot
After
didn't
all,
ask
that
me
was how
this because
Cyan
she
was.
likes Lord CLO.
Even the people around don't
Amber
say
has said
anything.
before that cheating
However,
is exciting.
no, I cannot do
exactly
that.
because
As
it's a
God's humble
taboo.
servant,
So
I must
I was
stay
a little
upright.
worried.
How
I'm a little
shameless.
relieved,
But
but it
everybody
also makes me
present
feel a
should
bit
have thought the
complicated.
same thing.
I don't know why I feel
Ah,
either of those
Lady
emotions,
Violet
though.
was shocked for a
In any
second.
case,
She
if this
picked
means that
herself
she
up
won't take
immediately.
Lord CLO
But
from
as
me,
expected,
I'll answer
even if she
honestly.
knew how
I think
Cyan turned
I like
in front
Lord
of the priest,
CLO. It's not
You
something she can get used
think
to right away.
Lord CLO,
However,
said that
this
he wanted to
time,
love.
it's better for
everything about
Cyan
me.
to be this way.
However,
It would
I'm
be a
an immoral
hassle
woman.
if she picked
I'm
a
still
fight with a
hesitating
guest like
whether it's
before.
okay for me
As
to
long as the
fall in
priest
love
is here,
like this.
Cyan
Immoral.
should be fine. Ms.
Well,
Robot looked
Cyan
up a
would have been
little,
fine to begin
taking a
with.
thinking posture.
Maybe this
as
is
if
an
trying to
unnecessary
understand the meaning
concern.
of my words.
But is it fine
Why?
for her to act
Do.
like that while
You.
wearing the usual
Think.
clothes?
So,
Clothes?
even if you ask me why,
she didn't go on a rampage.
I'll have to tell
this
you a
time.
long
So
story
the deep
about
slit
what
in her
happened
skirt
before I
didn't
came
expose
cheeky. Is that
anything much
fine?
today.
I was.
There shouldn't be any problems.
One. Oh, you're right.
Who?
You're so
Asked.
used to it.
So
You thought it
it
was normal.
is fine.
Even without thinking
I
about
see.
it too much.
I had someone I
That
liked.
Deep slit is
I told Ms.
strange.
Robot about my past.
There's something wrong with me.
I told
for
her that there was a
thinking that she
man
would
I'd
look like a
promised promised to marry in the future, just because she's and that I loved and revered that person from the bottom of my heart. It's just her quirk, nothing else. The current Cyan won't cause I'd spent most of my life working to improve myself for the sake of that person, devoting myself to him. I see. However, her quirk. After entering the academy, I also think that her usual state started to pay attention like to another woman, so I became jealous even if she's quirky. Riddled with anxiety, when she gets angry, she gets really angry. I gave him a warning, but she does her job well. That was nothing but me forcing Cyan is still better off. Unable to see my surroundings, I've challenged that woman to a duel, unfriendly doctor, but I had no allies. The problem was the other people. None of the students who had been buttering me up, nor the male students who tried to woo any women within the army without any questions. They all clearly wished to see me fall. Extremely sketchy. And finally, Apricot, that person told me, who's wrapped up in her own world and many others. As I was talking, I hope they don't cause trouble during the army stay. Lord CLO told me about Mr. That if I wanted to run away,
Robot is
I was
robot.
free to do so.
We can't give any other explanation.
And that he wanted to fall in love with me.
Is that really okay?
Everything included.
It's fine.
Yesterday, he also said that sometimes it's okay to forget things inside, but as I confirm the reality,
and while I'm
again,
worried that the residents of
am an
Shiki will
immoral
cause
and
trouble,
pathetic woman,
I have an even bigger
I
concern.
feel nauseous.
It's the fact that the people who will arrive soon
are the soldiers of the kingdom.
That, however,
will it be okay?
Immoral.
The army being
From
here
that
means that.
Isn't it
I'll
obvious?
be repeating what I said.
There was
yesterday,
someone I liked before,
but it'll be
Lord
fine.
CLO.
There might be
Despite
some familiar
that,
faces.
I couldn't
in there,
completely forget
but I'm
my
sure they won't
feelings,
try to do
and now
something
I'm
to marry to
carelessly.
Lord CLO. The
To change
Azalea
my
Academy,
feelings
where
after
we
entrusting
originally
my heart
attended
to another man,
offered academic
makes me
and
nothing
magical
but an
education
immoral woman.
as well as combat
Aren't you
training.
too thick-headed?
And nearly half of the students belong to the
Ms.
Knight
Robot
Order. Suddenly
military.
started speaking
The Knights,
fluently,
most of whom are
or
directly
rather,
involved with the academy.
What's with that
would
exasperated
know what
gesture?
happened at the academy.
She
about
sighed
2
as if to
months
say,
ago.
"Wow,
Some of
this
the
girl
Knights
really doesn't
may
get
even
it.
know
What is she
details
getting
of
at?
what happened to the
No,
Duke
it's not as
family.
thick as yours."
I asked
Just
Lady
from
Violet
shape,
about it.
it's quite
But
thick.
she said that she
I
didn't
meant
care.
It,
Even if that
differently.
might have been her true feelings.
Then what did she mean?
I'm
It
still
feels
worried about
unpleasant to be denied.
Listen,
when
Lady
you
Violet,
don't know what the
if
other
an emergency
person means.
arises,
Okay,
you can do your usual
4.
work at the
Now,
mansion without having
Ms.
to go
Robot
outside.
quickly stood up,
But won't
and
that
put away
make
the
them more
lunchbox.
suspicious?
If
If
we
the chest
behave
part suddenly opened
resolutely
up and
and
she was able to
patient,
put inside,
they won't spread
ignoring
any
its volume.
strange rumors.
Surely my eyes
That
were
might be
mistaken.
true,
but
but I don't
want to
see
see
her
her
suffer
suffer and heard a
any
whirling
more than
sound.
this.
Yes,
I can't just let
it
you
had to be an
endure
auditory
as much as you
hallucination,
can,
and
then
there
suddenly
is
break due to
one
mental fatigue.
thing.
You
I
might
would
say so,
like
Lord CLO,
to
but if
say.
I just come out to help out
Then
for a few
Ms.
days,
Robot
my
grabbed my
evaluation will change greatly.
Why? I have
I'm
a
glad
bad
that you
feeling
care
about
about
this.
me, but
If
I
I don't
also
run
want to
away
take good
now,
care of you.
I'll end up in
Lord
terrible
CLO.
trouble.
Let's think about our
Specifically,
future.
It might
and
be
work
something
together
that will make the
to finish
fear
this
I
task.
experienced just a short
You,
while ago come back.
But please don't push yourself too hard.
Us.
Okay?
Make. I
Your
know.
head
Don't push yourself
a
too
little
hard either.
softer.
Lord CLO.
Set.
You don't have
Ta-da.
to deal with it all by
I wish
yourself.
my bad premonition
You can
had
rely
been
on me
wrong.
too. Saying so, Lady Violet put her right hand on her own chest.
Chapter 41.
And appealed that I
Blurred.
could rely on her.
Let's
I'm older
go.
than her,
Even.
but her confident gesture
And
had an even
set.
greater
A
air
new
of dependability than me.
Okay.
They soared through the
I
skies.
won't overdo it at a
but I'll
dizzying
show you how
speed.
dependable.
I am as the
Apparently,
Lord
it
here.
wasn't a lie.
However,
when she
if I
said we
can't
were
do something
traversing
by
by
myself,
a relaxed pace,
I will be
earlier.
relying on
I did wish for it to be
I
true,
see.
if possible.
I look forward to seeing it.
Though I could
I
feel
will
us
also
coursing
rely
at high
on
speed
you
and support
there was
you
no
when needed.
undue strain on my
Yes.
body.
It will
That
be a
said,
demonstration
it feels
of
really
my
scary to
abilities
travel
to
at this
somewhat
near
bring together
illusionary
troublemakers
high
of
speed.
Shiki
HM,
and eliminate
I'm
the injustices of my predecessors.
Enemy.
Signals.
Hold
You have never sounded
on.
more
Tight,
convincing.
Violet.
I said.
What do you mean hold
and we
on tight?
Both had a small laugh.
I'm already holding on for
That's
dear
right.
life.
There were times
I know
when
that I
Lady
won't
Violet
fall,
was in
but
a
I can't bring
weakened
myself
mental
to
state,
loosen my grip.
But she's not someone I
Besides,
can't
what
rely
enemy?
on. We should
Wyvern.
support each other in areas
Wyvern.
where we are lacking.
It's a B-class
I've been
monster
looking
that
forward
makes
to
its
Lady
home in the
Violet's
skies
cooking these
or
days,
mountains,
and we'll have to
sparsely
overcome this
populated
situation
areas.
just to
The
not
whirlwind
lose this
created
enjoyment.
by a flap
Stop
of its
flirting in
wings
front
can
of
level
me,
buildings.
you bastards.
The fire it breathes
And as we were talking together,
is potent enough
Cyan
to
warned
scorch
us
with a
fully
benevolent
armored
smile
adventurer.
on her face.
It's a monster whose
Is the sound of her
talons can
knuckles
shred the
cracking
arms
my
of a human,
imagination,
as if they were paper. Such a fearsome monster
Chapter
spotted
30.
us and
One
swooped
attention
in to
seeker.
attack us.
Too many.
Fear. We had
One
entered the season
of
where the days
the
were warmer,
weakest
while cold
among
sometimes
the
crept in
class.
after the sun went down.
Don't even
Apparently,
think
it was going to be
you
a cold
can
evening
defeat
tonight, and it
the
felt a bit chilly
new
when the wind
and
blew.
improve.
Lady Violet,
Me.
are you cold? Ms. Robot
No,
didn't
I can
seem
handle
in
this
the
much.
least flustered. I
On the
replied,
contrary.
all right. I could feel her
and stared
maintain her composure
absent-mindedly
as she
in the
extended
direction
her
the army
right arm
was supposed
to
to
make
make
their
their
entrance.
Her arm let out
We were engaged in a
consecutive
shrill
word
sound
until a moment
and
ago,
started
but I'm
flashing
already
red.
bored of it.
Maybe
How
I
about
should have brought a book,
so
so I
Wyvern
could
looked
pass the time
pitiful,
reading it. As one would
Had there been no
before
knights
being
in the party,
swallowed whole by
I could have
a dragon.
simply waited
Maximum
for them to call
cluster
upon me.
cannon fire.
Since that isn't the case,
Something shot
I
out.
have no
You.
choice but to
It
personally welcome
takes
them as their
a couple
station is above
of
mine.
days.
If they don't arrive
Two.
in a while,
Charge.
feel free to go
shot.
back home.
Frankly,
everyone.
I wasn't.
As I wasn't sure
even
of their ETA,
sure.
I'd
How
let Gray,
to
Lady
get
Violet, Priest Snow
to
White, and
work.
the others know that they
It's
could go back if
much
they wanted,
too
but they chose to
powerful.
conscientiously
So,
wait along.
I don't
use.
That said,
I wonder why they are
on
running late.
I hope they
surface.
haven't gotten the dates mixed
Never
up
use
as
that
it
on
was in
ground.
Lady Violet's
A
case.
shockwave as big as the
Just when the
Wyvern
hell will they arrive?
quite literally
I think
swallowed it
Cyan's
whole
nearing
and
her limit.
vanished in a thin
Despite
air.
the priest's
priest being
This
present.
person,
Her choice
isn't she
of
a little
words
too
clearly
strong?
revealed her true
There.
colors.
The
priest had
nuisance
asked her to watch her
is
language, but he
gone.
seemed to have found himself
Nuisance, you
bored
say?
and started
A
reading the
wyvern of
Bible.
that size
Even
would
seemed
need
a slightly
a whole platoon
gnawed
of
in
soldiers
agreement.
to take down.
CLO. Any adventurer military personnel hunting it alone would gain instant fame. If they don't show up quickly, but apparently Ms. Robot wasn't the least interest. To have a nice evening
More
out
importantly,
would go to waste.
What did she mean by nuisance?
Just leave.
Well,
if they aren't
the sky
coming,
looked stunning.
I guess I just need to find a
blue
lady
blanket
around
that
here.
stretched
By then,
seemingly
I got to go put out
endlessly.
some feelers. Despite how high
As
up
I continued
we were,
to wait,
or how fast we were going, I wasn't afraid, and smiled as if he reached an agreement with himself around and left. Strangely made me feel like I wasn't all alone in the world. So long as no one
Looking
engages
down,
him,
the
he won't
academy
bother
I
the
once
military
attended
women,
and the city
so I can
that
just
was
ignore
once
him
my
for
home
now.
looked so
I'll just
small
ask
in
a
the
chaperone
distance.
to keep him on a leash
Seriously,
later.
they look tiny.
The
Violet,
future
then.
Pale Riders are
Definition
still wandering the
of
abyss.
normal.
Very well.
Is
I shall
very
patrol the borders
subjective.
with the magic
CLO.
I newly invented
Must.
name.
Have.
Invisible
Told.
Dark.
You. Listen to
I'm
me.
Just
Sure.
go home.
That.
And
He.
so,
Wishes.
Apricot
To.
threw on her cape
Embrace.
with a flourish,
All.
got hold of her
Of.
wand, and
You.
struck a pose. Rather than
What's with
wondering
these
how she
people?
knew about
Did
that,
they make plans to
I felt
meet
like
here?
she simply knew
Lady
CLO
Apricot,
well enough to
could
understand.
you please
that
tell
he
me
would
what kind of
say
spell
something
this
like that.
invisible dark
Is
is?
it because of the difference
Wonderful
in how
question,
long we,
my dear
both
disciple.
known
CLO?
Despite someone being
It makes me
physically
feel just a
present
bit
in a place.
frustrated.
This
He did.
spell,
And
which
that's
is
exactly
untraceable
why I'm
through
in a
detection
limbo.
magic,
Does
is
someone with a shameful
probably
past like me
capable of
have the right to fall in
erasing their
love
presence
or be loved?
Oh wow!
Am I simply
that
not
sounds
taking
magnificent.
advantage of Lord
I wouldn't
CLO's
expect
kindness?
any less from you.
Can't.
Lady
You.
Apricot.
Try. 2.
Gray sang her
Accept
praises with his
yourself
eyes, shining
as
while
you
Apricot's cape
are.
fluttered in the wind.
That's only allowed
and she
for the
looked
talented.
very smug.
I'm not one.
Lady Violet sent me a look.
If not
which
for the
seemed to
noble
ask
family
if
I
it
was
was
born
right to
into,
leave them be.
I
But
would
as
probably
Apricot
be
really
considered
does end up
talentless.
pulling off the impossible
To compensate
at
for
times.
that,
I can't
I've
really
spent all
refute
my
her,
life keeping
and
up
since they seem to be
appearances,
having
trying
fun,
to turn a
I didn't
lie
want to
into
put a stop to
reality.
it. I've been
CLO.
exposing my vulnerable
Seeing
side
as how
to
you're
Lord
still here,
CLO.
I take
even
the
though
army
I'd rather
is
not.
yet to arrive.
You need to put an adequate effort
They seem to be running
in order
late.
for someone to approve.
For
of
goodness
you.
sake,
Even that
what else
girl
can you
born
expect
with
from
a
the
gift
military?
Put in the
Don't tell me
required
they are
effort
late
to refine
because they got
her
into
skills.
trouble.
Only
Meaning there could be
after
people
which
who
his
are
highness
hurt.
grew
I need to
like her.
rush to them.
Don't try to run off as if you
After
just
accepting
received
each other
a
for
divine
who they
oracle.
are.
Hey, let me go.
Which is what lead me to
Injuries
worry.
and
So,
wounds await
I need
me.
to put in more effort.
Do these
than I
guys
did
simply
in the
have
past
too
to
much
make up
time
for
to
the spare?
spare? I love.
I hope they
someone
aren't
else.
acting up
because I
and
haven't been
after
paying
learning
them
more
any
about Lord
attention.
CLO,
After
I'll tell
everyone
him my
made an effort
feelings.
to stop her.
Just please shut up.
Ivory somehow,
However,
Ms. Robot
reluctantly
dismissed
left
my
the place.
worries to my face.
Mwahaha,
You just like to
CLO.
complicate things, Violet.
Why
This
are
is a
you throwing
device
in the
that will
towel
automatically
without
shine
professing your
light
feelings
onto darkness.
Please stop
You don't
running
need to
away
constantly
and
feed
hiding
mana.
behind your past.
But as long
when
as you
know that's
jumpstart with a
bullshit.
bit of mana,
That's
it
just
will continue to
highfalutin.
light up
Saying
its
things like
vicinity
escape your
for a
past,
long period of
treasure
time.
your happy memories.
And
Is that
look
what I
to the
requested
future.
to be made?
And what's
after
so
the
wrong
thinner
with
incident?
that?
Thank you.
Ms. Robot continued
Mwahaha.
to speak at length.
This is the operating
as if I
manual.
wasn't permitted to
Also,
chime
the
in.
nights are getting colder.
Her words gave
so
me
I
a
got this
clear
to keep you
view
guys
of her
warm.
sense of self.
Thanks.
Which made
I'll
me
pay
a
for the
little
lamp
envious.
the next time we meet.
Unlike those that never
Orchid-handed
attempt
over the
anything,
lamp, but
made
simply
with
throw
newly
ideals
improved
around.
Firestone,
While they
passed
grumble
around warm
and
drinks to
moan when
everyone
things don't go
and
their
left,
way by
blaming
laughing.
the absurdity
His black
of the
pet
world
cat was
or
at
the
his
people
side,
around them.
and it also
You
seemed
try to
to
attain a
meow
better
and
version
tantrum.
of yourself.
Dear me.
Then
I know he's not a
carried
bad
on
person,
Ms. Robot,
but I just can't
CLO
get used to him.
told you that he wants
I can't
to
blame
love
her since
and
he totally
embrace all
looks
you,
like an evil
including your
sorcerer.
past,
If
scheming
he didn't mean it to overthrow
he wouldn't
the
order a
government.
ring for you.
Even just now,
shield you
he
from
magically
people you find
popped up
uncomfortable
out
to
of
be
shadows.
around, or
However,
throw a party for
compared
you.
to the rest,
Even though such
I'm
happiness
so much
is
more
rather
grateful
rare,
for him. You're still trying to run
the
away
black
from
tea
it when it's
is
right
also
in front of you.
warm and
Just what more are you
delicious.
looking for? I placed the cup
Ms.
on the ground
Robot
after
declared
finishing it,
that it wasn't the
watched it
kind of
disintegrate
happiness
and
that can
dissolve
only be
into the
attained
earth,
by sacrificing
leaving no
someone.
trace behind.
That it wasn't
As
the kind of
convenient
happiness
as it
one
looks,
feels upon
I wonder
taking
about the
another's
trick
life,
behind it.
or the elusive
looks
kind
like they are here.
induced by drugs.
The priest
or
closed the
happiness
Bible,
gained by
looked
intruding
in the
on
direction of
another's
their
life
arrival,
and robbing
and
them of
announced their
theirs.
coming.
That it's something
Honestly,
you only need to
all I
reach
can make
out
out
to
were
obtain.
blurry
So why not
movements in
say
the
it out
distance.
loud? But
That you will
obviously
do
the
as you
priest's
please
vision
and be
seems to
happy.
be the sharpest
That the past
among
with him
us,
is
so he
just
must be
that
right and nothing more.
Is
That
something
they
the
should
matter,
regret
Father?
casting you aside.
I wonder what puzzled
if
the
anything.
priest, for he gazed
She
at the
uttered that I should
military
declare
personnel
that
in
I have the
bewilderment.
right to be
Upon
happy
Cyan questioning
without
him,
worrying about
he looked
what
worried
others
for a
may
minute
think before answering.
Now, here,
they
we're
seem a little
nobody
too
and
young
nothing
to
will
be in the
stop
army,
you.
and I think
Forget
our
your status
differently too.
and spit out everything
Young
that you
and
have piled up
differently?
inside you.
Is it a group of tourists?
You sure can speak your
or
mind.
Worst case,
Ms. Robot.
a band of robbers.
You didn't have to preach
But
my
yeah,
ear off.
he's right that
with
something's
nothing but
weird.
fancy words.
They were within my range.
Are you
of
trying to
sight,
bask in the
and
glory
yes,
of your
they were
perch up
dressed
above?
differently.
Oh, damn it!
There were two
in this
groups
place
of people
where there's
fully
no
dressed
other
in
soul
black,
around,
and another in
my
white,
only partner
and there were
spoke
also
everything
girls
on her
wearing skirts
mind
among
and
them.
at length.
Moreover,
this only
they were
makes
young.
me
The
They
one
definitely
making
don't
things
look like
complicated for herself.
Oh, is that?
Look like an idiot.
They don't look like military personnel.
Fine. Then
There's
I'll
no way
say
they
it.
could.
Watch me.
They were clad in the government-funded
I certainly have at
academy
least
issue
one or two
uniform.
things I'd like
It
to get off my
separated
chest.
nobles and commoners by color, and it's also what I
Vermilion,
had to put
you
on
big
until a
moron.
few years prior. I turned to the
In
side
short,
and
it was
shouted
a
at the top
uniform
of
of
my lungs
Azalea
I had never
Academy.
done before.
Meaning,
I
I
was
was
rather
rather
surprised
surprised
at
were
the volume
students of
I could
Azalea
produce.
Academy.
Please
Getting
forgive
obsessed
us.
with a girl like
We
that.
got into a spot of trouble,
Despite knowing that
arrived
she's
later than
deceiving
planned.
Ash.
We are
Chartreuse
for Lady Violet.
Eckel.
It's the academy.
That's right.
She attended up
Despite
until 2
knowing that
months
she
ago.
doesn't
Why are you
maintain
here?
appropriate
Violet
distance from
Valentine.
other men.
He still chose her. Meaning
Can
she was
anyone blame
faced with
me
people
for
she
being jealous
never
of
wanted
her?
to meet again.
She
has the kind of charm that made even His Highness fall for
Chapter
her.
31.
I'll become the
It's
kind
not
of
over
woman
yet.
you'll regret.
The delegation
giving
of
up
about a
and
dozen
show off
people,
my close
all
relationship
wearing uniforms
with
that I
Lord
myself had
CLO.
worn until just recently.
Even if you
and
regret
followed
it,
by
then
a horse-drawn
don't expect
carriage
me to
pulling
ever
their
become
big
yours.
luggage.
We're all people
Yeah.
I knew well.
I'll become someone
The
amazing.
ones I've had the most
I
interactions
never loved you,
with
my
were the
ass.
two men at the front.
Did you really expect
Why are you here?
anyone to take
Violet
your side
Valentine.
now, my ass?
Hate to
Tall
break
and
it to
slender
you,
body.
but I have someone who
Brownish
put a ring
hair
on my
with a
finger
tint of blue,
and red as
which would be
vows, and
considered
surprisingly,
long for a man.
I have a son as well.
His normally soft
I swore on the
black
gold ring that
eyes
I'd
were
stay by
sharply
Lord
glaring at me.
CLO's side.
A few people
This
in the
vow
back
is a
looked at me
sacred
with the
one.
same disgust.
So I'll stay beside
and
him
rest
and be happy.
Looked around in
Then
confusion.
I'll be able to see
The people
your
showing a
speechless
particular
faces
dislike
as
for
your
me
hopes
are
of
His
seeing
Highness
me
close
miserable
attendant,
come
Ash
crumbling
Austin,
down.
who
I
spoke
look forward to it.
confrontationally to me.
However, do you
But
not even want to bother?
I really
with a
did love you
reply?
back then.
Valentine
I was happy,
and
that
Chartreuse
love
Calvin
gave me the
with
support
short dark
I
green
badly
hair,
needed.
who glared at
If it
me
wasn't
with
for
his
my love
originally
for you,
sharp,
my
and
upbringing,
almond-shaped
all the
eyes,
tough lessons I had
his
to sit
well-trained
through
body was
would have messed me up
poised in
even
a alert
more.
position. I don't want to deny
Before,
those feelings.
he would have referred to me
even if you
politely
never
as
loved
lady.
me. I didn't
as would be
lose heart
expected
and
from the
worked
son of the
hard
Knight
because I was
Commander.
doing it for you.
But now he doesn't
But
seem to want to
I'm
do
now
that
Lord
anymore.
Silo's wife,
Ah,
and we're only
many
just
people
getting
are
to know each
openly
other.
showing their
It's
hostility
been 2
towards
months
me.
since we met.
It's a different kind of
It's also been 2
hostility from
months
Schwartz,
since we got married.
more similar to
It's way too
displeasure and
short a time to
disgust.
decide if someone
Just like that
is the
time merely
person
2 months
with whom
ago,
you want to spend the rest
I can't
of your life
find the words
together
to reply to
and
the
to also
feelings
know
directed
everything
towards
about
me by
them.
the crowd.
However,
Don't you ever appear
everyone
in front
all
of us again.
together. I'll
Calm
become
down.
happy with my
Calm
family.
down, Violet.
As Violet
Didn't you just
Hartfield
promise Lord CLO that you
I
would
declared
work together?
in a voice
I must
that was
act
the
firm.
loudest
Even
ever.
if there are 2 people
that feels good.
who showed
I still have
clear
a ton of
hostility
worries.
towards
Like,
me at that
will
time.
Lord
Without
CLO
simply
fall in
being
love with me?
opportunistic?
Will I be able to
Now
treat
being
Gray like his
vigilant
son
against me
when he's only
I
4
have to turn
years younger
forward.
than me?
I have never
etc.?
loved you.
Like,
Why?
I don't mind
Even though I
apologizing
understand
for my
that I
reckless
must
behavior,
act
but is there a
fearlessly?
way I could
I keep
avoid
remembering His
apprehension?
Highness
Because
words
I'd
again
really like
and
to
again.
punch His Highness
I
in
can't
the face
speak.
just once.
I don't know what to say.
However,
my body trembles
I won't hesitate
slightly,
anymore.
and the
I'm
eyes
going to
on
be more
me are
assertive
making
with
me
Lord
shirk
CLO.
into myself.
I've decided to
Why
fall
am I
in
always
love
such a
and
weak
make him
woman?
fall in love with me.
Excuse
For
me.
now, I want
I
us
am
to kiss
CLO
already.
Hartfield.
Things veered
the
off
Lord of
track
this
last
land.
time.
And
You
we didn't
appear
end up
to be
doing
the
it.
students of Azalea
But I want our
Academy.
first kiss to be
But
romantic.
what business has
Come
brought
to
you
think of
to
it.
Shiki today?
Forgive me,
Lord
Ms.
CLO
Robot.
stood in
HM,
front
something
of me.
wrong?
As I was
With the
unable
lips
to say a word,
I just associated with
covering
kissing,
me and
I
diverting
suddenly
my
remembered,
focus from the malicious
even without the
gazes.
sudden epiphany.
I've been
I
protected
knew that
by
I was
this
feeling
fact all the
awful
time.
remembering my past. Just
so
a
you were the
minute
Lord.
ago.
The
Please
lunch from
excuse
earlier,
my impoliteness.
coupled with sudden zigzag motion
After Lord
and
CLO
screaming,
stood in
just
front
now.
of me.
I feel like
Ash
throwing
releases
up.
pressure on me.
Returned to
Maximum
his usual
cluster
countenance with a soft
The target
smile
is most
and
likely
began
to
to
die.
explain the details of what they were doing here. Azalea Academy first year, Representative Ash Austin, accompanied by 14 people. We have arrived, albeit late, to investigate
Robot
and
took a
subjugate
thinking posture
monsters and started
As
pondering
Ash finished
about
his
romantic
greetings.
gestures. The students behind
After
him straightened
playing
their backs
in
and saluted
a field
as if they were
of
soldiers,
flowers,
albeit a
and
bit out
making
disorderly.
flower
Perhaps because they weren't
crowns.
used to it.
Hold.
Each.
In other words,
Others. You guys
hands,
came for the investigation
while
instead
watching
of soldiers.
the
Pardon?
sunset.
Yes.
And
we will be
kiss
investigating
as
monsters in the
you
surrounding area as a part
closer.
of practical training.
Despite making fun
Have you
of
not been
me,
notified of this?
Ms. Robot came up with a pretty
As they were
cute
exchanging
idea.
information.
Good grief.
Ash had,
After
a
calling me
wondering
out on
look on his
acting
face.
innocent.
This is what she
According
came up
to
with.
him,
Isn't
in
playing
order
in a
for the
flower
students to
field,
gain
making
experience,
flower crowns
Azalea
and
Academy
watching
divided the
sunsets
students
too
into
childish.
multiple
And groups and sent them to investigate and fight together.
But that's what makes it good.
To avoid the collapse
The whole
of teamwork
point is for
due to
Lord
the
CLO
differences in
to
social
do
status
something
or
childish.
gender, he would
The teams were
clumsily
formed
make
as
a
a
mix
flower
of
crown,
both genders,
and I'd show him the
example
examples
with
and
a little.
conquers.
After which
And it
we would
seems that
gift
their
our flower
particular
crowns to
group
each other.
was sent to
Doesn't that sound
Shiki.
wonderful?
I
Wait,
see.
I forgot.
I understand
I've never
the
actually made a
situation.
flower crown.
What was
Cool.
that?
The plan
For a
is
moment,
all
Lord
ruined.
Solo's expression
Then
changed to something I've never
about
seen before.
Something. It
Like
wasn't fatigue
this.
or doubt,
Hey,
but rather
suspension.
irritation.
Bridge.
By the
Effect.
way,
Cost.
by after
Hey,
they
dangerous.
finished exchanging
Situation.
information, Ash
I'm
once
listening.
again looked at me
Suspension
as I was
bridge
hiding
effect.
behind Lord
If I remember
CLO's
right,
back. It refers to a situation where people mistake was a life-threatening situation as if looking at a criminal. But for Lord CLO, who could even kill Fenrir, Ash's words were interrupted by the fluttering sound of the cloak. We would need at least a rank monster. First, welcome, I will, the great Applegate, who are no inferior to what are you even talking about? Come forward. There's a strong enemy ready to witness the rank standing and not a crown all with darkness and fire. It might be easy for Ms. Truly to put Lord CLO the divine in a life-threatening situation. I will pass judgment on ye with my own hands. It's Lord CLO, Apricot, who had been showing off her magic to Gray and moved to the back when Ash's group arrived. A critical moved to the front and started spouting incomprehensible words. You will, however, even though she was saying strange things as usual. That's a terrible match different from her usual Lord self. CLO, excuse me, what is she saying? Kidnapped. As expected, no matter how much I want to be liked, students, I'm still reluctant to go. We're looking at her with confused expressions. I wouldn't want to traumatize among each other how to interact with her. Lord CLO, seeing this, who was kidnapped, apricot and anxious, as if she was astonished, only to feel relieved after seeing my face. Stop, to think that you couldn't even understand. I feel like if I think about it, I'll want to go. My retainers. Besides, there's no point in speaking to people who cannot CLO develop Stockholm syndrome. We shall leave them to the Lord. Other words. Apricot turned her back at Ash's group and left while laughing loudly. Who exactly are her retainers in this context? Me, Lady Violet, Cyan. Yeah. I'm sorry, besides, but please look after Apricot. If you kidnap him, there's no way of knowing what she will do if left alone. I see. Looking at the departing apricot, sense Lord CLO asked but us in that apologetically. Case, we should come up with another. Oh, I see. Apricot Lord CLO was just a way to let me get away for him. Drink with him. I had very little doubts because it didn't look strange for her to act this way. But it's true that I made her worry about me. Light. I understand. Fireworks. Lord CLO. I can. Yes, sir. Father and the students of Azalea Academy. Please forgive me for having to leave you. Let's go, Io. Still, fireworks. I bow my head. I don't know why. But I can just see the future smiled and bowed where I muster up all my courage only for my words to be drowned out by the sound of fireworks. Seemed to want to say something in response. But then, go. Please let me show you to your lodgings. If there are no problems with your denomination, we would like you to stay at the church where I serve. Would that be okay? Yes, I understand. We already did that. Were there people from a different denomination here? Still, no, none. Did not. I've already checked in advance. Stop with the pity. Understood. I don't want to blame anybody. Everyone, but we couldn't do it because Gray interrupted. I will bring the horses. That's right. That must have been it. Lord CLO, both like a good environment, put themselves pajamas, stripping, and with Gray chiming in from fireworks, suspension, their gazes moved elsewhere. Stockholm syndrome. Creating a situation I ended up where we having to borrow strength from everybody. If we extract good points from all those suggestions, but more than that, and put them together, I'm more concerned about we should be able to come up with a good idea. In other words, thoughts kept going round and round in my head. I will make a flower crown for the feeling of nausea, then I'll pretend to give it to him and hug him instead. Really pathetic. Press. It's really Vi, after all. Chest. Against. Him. And. Take. Chapter 32. His surprise attack. Clothes. In the noisy panics, while the students around me were organizing their luggage and being led to their rooms. After I was talking with two students. The above mentioned are the main facilities of Shiki and the natural situation in the surrounding area. Thank you very much. I will comfort Lord CLO after relaying the information about after waking up to the student representative named Ash, who was dressed in a black school uniform. I bowed. I'm older than him in terms of age and an alumni from his academy. But he outranks the combination of anxiety, so I have to be excitement and intoxication. He's a childhood friend and a varlet of His Highness Vermilion, the main love interest in Ring of Fire. I will. Even though he's a varlet. Fireworks. He himself is from a marquee family and has sufficient power within the Austin family. When I remember this moment in the future, gentleman, I can't help women think one popular at Azalea Academy. That our excitement, however, went in a strange as is typical for characters like him. As expected, he's rather Blackheart and will do anything for His Highness. Also, I think one of the things that made him popular was his informal tone. Chapter 43, that he only used going round in circles. I remember my younger Violet sister been acting strange watching the past few days. I'm sorry, Baron. I don't know how to put it. Is there a blacksmith? But she's behaving arms dealer here. At first, yes, I thought she was restless because of the Azalea Academy students. You would be out of luck. But that doesn't seem to be the case. They're a bit of a difficult person. Lord CLO, would you like me to introduce you? The weather is nice today. Can I leave it to you? Indeed. Chartreuse, on rainy days like this, who is wearing a black uniform, to want to read a different also listening to the information about Shiki. It's raining today with a slightly worried look on his face. Saying so, After
Lady
I told him
Violet
about the
started to
location
worry for some
and that I would
reason.
be escorting
Was
him
it simply
tomorrow,
my imagination?
he simply
that she
nodded
looked
with an
as if
"I see."
she was only
Chartreuse
thinking
Calvin.
about today's weather
Similarly,
being sunny.
he's also one of the love
Strange.
interests.
Where to,
He's
milady?
sometimes called Char
If you're
by
going
people
out,
close to him.
I will prepare
He's
rain
the
gear
son
for
of
you.
the current knight
It's okay,
commander,
Gray.
who is
There's no
hailed
need.
as the master
Is that
swordsman.
so?
He
Please
trains
wait.
every day.
Why are you going
with his
outside
Japanese
dressed like
sword
that?
exists
Please let me go,
in this
Gray.
world for some reason.
I've heard that white
While
clothes
enduring
work
the
the
pressure
best
from his
for the
master
see-through look.
swordsman father.
Let me go
He's
outside.
unsociable. I don't really
Straight-laced.
understand.
He's
But I
somewhat
think that you might be
fragile.
mistaken. And he
I
secretly
heard that
has a
something
sweet
like
tooth.
this happened with Gray.
He's a person with a
See-through
lot
look.
of characteristics.
I wonder what she
for some
means.
reason. I don't really
I remember
get it,
that
but
when I
I'm sure it's not
criticized
what
him
I
for
think
being
it is.
calculating,
It's not something
my
people
younger
would
sister
go out of their
replied
way
would
to
know.
do. The
So
girls in
it
the
must
games
mean
you play are
something
like
else.
that too.
Strange.
At that time, for the
Wow, it's
first
so
time in my
hot.
life,
Lord
I learned how
Cielo.
it feels to
I
be
think the
shut
weather
up
is
with a
quite
single
cool
sentence.
today.
Once
Why are
again,
you wearing
I
light summer
apologize
clothes?
for being late.
I've
I've heard that men enjoy
him want to
this
take
look
care
more.
of his beloved sword.
You'll
is a
catch
part of
cold
it too.
Oh, that's right.
But we were attacked.
Would you mind
by
wearing your
monsters
winter
on
coat
the
next
way.
time?
No,
I'll make some adjustments.
I'm
to
simply
it.
glad that you all
Ooh,
were safe.
I see. The reason
But
why they were late.
why would you
was because they
unbutton
were
one button at
attacked
this
by a
time?
horde of monsters
Because it's
on
hot.
their way to Shiki.
Pop.
When I asked for
Lady
the
Violet
characteristics of those
unbuttoned the
monsters,
button on her chest.
they all seemed to be
However,
local, so it's not
she
like it was
started
an abnormal
shivering from the
situation.
cold.
But so I gave her the
monsters
closest
started
thing
to leave
nearby
their
to
dwellings
wear.
and
After
attack
saying
people a
thank
bit
you,
too often.
I feel like I heard her say,
By the
"This
way,
isn't so
are there other
bad
things we should be
either
careful
under
about?
her breath, like
Strange.
local customs unique
Why are you wearing
to
a
this
school
land
uniform
or natural
Lady
disasters?
Violet.
When
When
I
I
saw
saw
my
my
old
old
classmates, I
I
started
started
evil
feeling
looking mage
nostalgic.
might appear.
I tried
from
wearing it
shadows
for a
while
bit.
laughing
What do you
suspiciously.
think?
You might
I thought
see
this
his
before,
sister
too,
climb to the
but it
top of
suits
the
you
church
well.
with her bare hands.
It makes me wish we went to
You
the
might
same
also
school.
see somebody sleeping while
see.
holding a long sword,
Foo-foo,
or
I
somebody who
see.
vomits a lot
Still,
because they
your
prefer
skirt
to
is
eat
short,
poisonous herbs,
isn't it?
But
I
please
feel like it
don't
was
pay
longer
them any
before.
mind.
Really?
You must
But
be
I'm
joking.
sorry.
I've heard
I
that
wish I
40
was.
centimeters above the knee
Unfortunately,
is preferable.
it's true.
But as expected,
From their
it was
perspective,
too embarrassing.
Shiki, I could
with
only
the
shorten
delusional
it to this
girl they
much.
saw before.
Only
and many
perverts
others
wear skirts
would
40
seem like a
centimeters
bizarre
above
place.
their knees.
They
It's
might have
off-putting.
heard about Shiki
What?
before.
Why are you
But they look like
surprised?
their
At
expectations
that
were
length,
exceeded in
people
the most
would be able to see your
unexpected
underwear.
way, unless they're too tall.
Incidentally,
if a
I
woman
might
was
be
walking
acting out of
around with a
line,
skirt like that,
but have you heard the stories?
I'd be put off and
Pardon?
think, what's with her? Just as I finished
Even if she was my
explaining
type.
and was going to wrap up
Rather,
the conversation
who
by
did she
leaving
hear
the
it
rest
from?
to the father
Was it that lustful
and preparing
demon?
for tomorrow.
It was him, wasn't it?
Ash
Wait,
confirmed
I'm
that
wrong.
nobody was
For
paying
real.
attention to our trio.
Putting aside who she
and
heard
asked
it
me
from,
in a voice
the only
more
thing I can
serious
say
than
for
before
now
is Violet
Gray.
Valentine. Lady Violet
She's the
has
woman
been
who
strange
chased
recently.
after that girl
Yes,
who spoke
she has
gibberish
obviously been
together
acting
with the
weird.
sister.
When
As
I consulted with
expected,
Gray,
his question
Lady
was
Violet
about Lady
wasn't
Violet.
around. He also
I feel like
agreed with me that
Chartreuse'
she was
gaze
acting
became a bit
strange.
sharper as well.
He responded to my
What about my
concern
wife?
with a worried expression.
Wife.
I thought it was
Yes.
connected to the
I
students
knew
of
that
the
it would
academy,
definitely
but
be an annoying
I saw no
question.
signs of her meeting
So I
them
asked for the
or being
confirmation
harassed with a
by them.
slightly strong
Yeah, that's
voice
right.
before he
My
managed
first
to
thought
start
was
anything.
that Lady Violet
Then,
was being
their
harassed
faces
behind my
changed
back.
to a wondering expression.
However,
there were
this
no
reaction
signs of it
looks like they
happening,
didn't expect
and there was
for
no
me
evidence
and
that
Lady
Ms.
Violet
Nephrite had
to be
made
married.
contact with her.
She's your wife?
Yesterday,
I see.
she even asked,
You must have a
"Please let me
heart.
meet with Vi."
What's wrong with
Again.
this guy?
It seems
Do you
like
want
she
me
had
to
a hard
punch
time
that
sneaking out because
bitterly
the investigation
smiling
was
face of yours?
busy trying
Not like I
new
do it, though.
things.
No,
with Ash, she's a
and the others
wonderful
keeping
woman
a close
who's
watch
wasted
on her.
on me. Is it new disease?
I see.
If so,
Hearing my words,
it must be a disease
both
that
Ash
makes one
and
Chartreuse peered at my expression. They were probably trying to see
But she
if
doesn't
I was
have a
being
fever,
genuine or
and
not.
it's not like
but
she's
can't they do it
mentally
more discreetly?
unstable.
Is that so impossible?
She cooks properly.
Okay, maybe
and
it
looking
is.
at the way she cleans,
Just like how in
and
dating
tidies
sim
up the
games for
mansion,
men, when she doesn't
female
have
characters
work to
are
do,
often
I
self-assured.
don't see anything particularly
As if to say
wrong
you
with
know
her.
that you have the advantage.
There was a time when she
right?
tagged along.
Male
after I
characters
told
in
that I would be
Otone
going
games
outside.
are also often
even though she could have
overly
met
confident.
the academy students.
Yeah,
but
Did you
didn't
want to
look
say something
daunted to
about my
meet them.
wife?
And on the
No.
contrary,
I just heard that
she
she had
even
become a
walked
nun.
beside me.
I was
with a
simply
happy
surprised
expression.
by our unexpected
Although I can't
encounter.
deny the possibility
If your
that
default
she was
reaction to
fine
being
because we
surprised
didn't
is
meet her
contempt,
schoolmates,
you must have impressive
Milady is
guts.
unexpectedly
Unfortunately,
prone to making
I
assumptions.
can't say this out loud.
So there's a chance she got
got the wrong idea about
she's somebody who had to quit the academy.
There was a time
when she mistook towards His Highness
for a girl
and the others.
I can't argue
if somebody
back
like
about
that suddenly appears.
It seems like Lady Violet.
It's natural for them to wonder when androgynous child dressed.
No, depending on the situation.
Now that I think about
enemy
it,
of the girl
recently, I have
Lord
not been
Ash,
allowed to
Lord
wash
Chartreuse,
clothes myself.
To
Perhaps that could be related to the
We're
issue.
being called, so
no,
we must excuse
I think that's
ourselves.
only because she finds it embarrassing
See you tomorrow,
to let
then.
somebody of the opposite
Perhaps thinking
sex
that we had finished
wash
our
her
conversation.
She
The
was
two were
fine with
called
it
by another
before
student
because
and
she
had to
thought they were
leave.
both girls.
Just as I was sighing while thinking
not
about
allowed
what
to
a
do
hassle
laundry
the next
together
day would be.
I've heard that
as I
phrase
watched
somewhere.
their receiving
I'm sure
backs.
I'm
I
sorry.
It's puberty.
Do you have a moment?
In other words,
Suddenly,
it is not an
somebody
issue
called
we can
out to me
solve
by
from
ourselves. since it was a girl's voice unique to and women. Also a voice I haven't
Lady
heard
Violet
cheeky,
is 15 years old.
I turn around.
She must have worries,
thinking that
she
one of the
can't
students
divulge
had spoken
to us
to me
since we're men.
I came face to face with a slightly
next time
short
I'll
girl
secretly
who was
ask somebody of the same sex
who's close in age with her to help her out.
I've seen this girl
who's the
somewhere.
closest to
Hello.
her age would be.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Then I will ask Lady
Is
Apricot
anything wrong?
if she could help.
Is there
a lady.
anything you don't understand?
Is that our only way?
There's something I want to
You
ask.
seem to be very conflicted.
I would
about
like to
this.
ask.
Certainly,
Despite
another
feeling
girl who's
suspicious
closer in
about the
age
way
with her
I was looking
would
at
be
her,
14
the
years
girl hesitated
old
a bit
Apricot on how to word her
But
sentence.
could she even offer a
and
useful
finally
consultation?
asked.
I'm
I'll
looking for
admit
her.
that she's surprisingly serious when she's.
I really
being
feel like I've
serious,
seen her somewhere.
But I hope Lady
Don't
Violet
tell me she's
doesn't
some kind of
start
underworld
calling me
person
Blackheart, like Miss Schwartz.
Maybe Cyan could be our
She
person.
had long, fluffy,
She's serious
golden-colored
during
hair with a
confessions,
tinge of
and she
red
gets along
and
with Lady
distinctive,
Violet.
almost
In any
transparent
case,
eyes.
I'd like somebody to casually
She seemed
confront
friendly,
Lady Violet
and while she was
if she has
pretty
any
and
worries.
beautiful, the word that
Inmates,
suited her
so you were here,
above all
Lord
was
CLO
cute.
Gray.
She
The
also
bath
looked like she
is
would
ready.
arouse
So would you like to
protective
join
instincts.
me for a family
Lady
bonding
Valentine,
time?
wait, she's not Valentine
Somehow,
anymore. I feel like this isn't the kind
Lady
of a problem
Violet.
that could be solved
I remembered.
just by consulting
She's
other
a
women.
femme fatale.
I'll
in
check
a
if her
way,
thoughts are
and an
going in the wrong
existence
direction
akin to a
from
devil
stress for Lady
For
Violet.
now,
I
I
decided
would like
to
to
let her
meet with
rest
her.
while I looked at
Would that be
Gray.
okay?
We both nodded.
Isn't
in
this
unison.
girl the heroine of the Ring of Fire?
Chapter
44,
33
against
Surprise
one's
nature
nature
to
strategy.
ignore Scream. The protagonist
Please
of
get
the
some
Otome
rest.
game of magic
Gray,
and
and I
swords,
carried Lady
when a
Violet
ring of
to her
fire is
room
lit and encouraged
world
her
is
to
painted
lie
red.
down. Is
I'm
a girl
fine,
of
Lord
humble
CLO.
origins capable
I don't
of
feel
wielding the
particularly
rare
unwell.
alchemy magic.
Please do get some
with
rest.
hair that's fluffy,
Okay.
long,
I said firmly,
almost golden,
after which
with a
Lady
tinge of
Violet
red
sat on
and
her
near
bed,
translucent
albeit
eyes.
reluctantly.
She had
It
no
may have been
special
better to
origins,
have her change in
nor
her
did she
nightgown
have any
first.
secret
But there was
powers
something I needed
bestowed
to
by
ask her
bloodline.
before that.
Both
Lady
her family
Violet,
and ancestors were
if there's
just
something you wish to
typical
discuss with
commoners.
us,
We're all
however,
ears. As a
this
child,
situation
she happened
is
to
what I
learn
want to
alchemy
talk about
magic
the
from a
most.
passing alchemist.
After saying so,
and owing to alchemy
Lady Violet
magic and the
averted her
influence
gaze.
of her love interest,
Dang,
she
so I
carved
can't
out a
get you to
place for
talk no matter
herself
what.
as an
I thought we
exemplary
had begun
student
warming
in
up
the
to each
academy
other,
after enrollment.
but maybe I was
And
mistaken.
occasionally,
Still,
she'd
we're
nurture a
family.
love far
As
above
long as
her
she's
station
family.
with her love.
We can't shut our eyes to her
defeat
weird
the seal
behavior.
dragon.
There's a
Save the
chance that
hero
her
from
efforts to
assassins
not
and
make
make
us
a
worry
harem
about
for
her health
herself made up
ended
of
up
settlement.
backfiring.
Really
and that's
just an
troubling.
ordinary girl.
HM.
She had no
What does Lady
default
Violet
name,
look like?
and the
She
player was to
just had
set
an
both her
eureka moment.
first and family.
And is this sense of
That's the reason I
foreboding
started
just in
calling
my
her
head?
the protagonist
I hope
in
it
my
is.
head.
Sorry,
I have no
Lord
idea
CLO
what
Gray.
route she's on.
I simply
moment,
had the
but
shivers.
there's one thing I know.
I was
for
hoping to
certain.
keep you from worrying, but
I'm
it seems
sorry
to
for
have had
listening
the
in.
opposite effect.
You're married to Lady Violet,
So,
aren't you?
She was feeling
Lord
unwell.
Hartfield.
Anyway,
Yes, I am.
I'll have her rest today.
That she's a ticking
If
time
necessary,
bomb to
I'll
us.
ask someone.
I
maybe
can't
the
let her meet
priest,
Lady
to
Violet
handle
at the
things
very
like reviewing the
least.
findings
both for her
from
mental
tomorrow's
well-being
investigation.
and to make sure
First
her
things
image
first,
doesn't worsen.
she
in the
needs to
minds of
change
Ash
into
and
her
Chartreuse,
nightdress, so they don't
Since we
show
couldn't
more
possibly stay
animosity
for
toward
that.
her.
I suppose
I'm much
Gray,
obliged
and
to
I'll
Lady
need to step
Violet
outside
for all the help I
momentarily.
receive from her in the academy.
It's really cold.
However,
So she feels
I had
cold.
no idea
Should
where
I
she
bring in the
disappeared to a few months
Firestone-powered
ago.
portable heater?
So,
which
I was
is as
looking for her
efficient
and
as
happened
the
to run
modern-day
across
heater
her here
to warm
I
up the
can't
room?
tell if it was a
Okay,
veiled
now
insult
that that's
when
settled,
she said she
let
felt
me get it when I leave
obliged,
the room.
or if there was no
Times like these
special
call
hidden
for
meaning,
someone to warm
because
you up.
she's basically a
Is
good
it just
person.
me, or is
Either
she
way,
talking very
I
differently
must
from
reject her
usual?
plea here.
Nah,
Even if
it
her
probably
words
only
are
sounds
filled
weird
with good
since she's
intentions.
sick.
I
There's
really
no
need to get her the
guarantee
heater.
that they will
It'll do her
lead
good.
to a happy conclusion.
Wait, someone. I like to
Not
meet
something,
her,
but
in
someone.
a polo.
I'm not
Ms.
talking about a
Nephrite,
heater, but
but
something
well
to
before
heat
I
up
could
the
voice
body
my
from within.
disapproval.
A
Heat
male
up from within,
student,
ginger tea.
Ash,
I see.
clad in the uniform
It's not
for
much
nobles,
use just warming
called
up
externally.
externally. Of course,
Maybe
you need to
because the
start from
voice
the
came out
inside
of nowhere
in order to improve
Ms.
the
Nephrite
condition.
flinched.
I've
and
heard that
turned to the
women are
direction
more
of the source.
susceptible to the
My
cold than men.
apologies, but we
So it's
discovered
probably
that some
good
of the
to put
luggage
measures
was
in
damaged.
place to avoid
Could I
this from
trouble you to
happening in the
restore
future
them using your
Please
alchemy
give me a
magic?
moment. Let me go
At
grab some
first,
ginger.
She looked a
That's not
little
what I
troubled
meant.
upon hearing
I was about
Ash's
to exit the
request,
room,
but in the
leaving
blink of
Gray
an
to
eye,
hold
she
down the
pasted
fort
a smile on
when
her
a sudden
face.
tug on my
All right,
sleeve
I suspect
stopped
there's
me in
more
my
damage to
tracks.
fix, so let's get
that
right
wasn't
wasn't it? By the way, this is one of the few occasions where I can be enough to give me the illusion I appreciate that nothing was wrong with her. I must say that you've helped us elevate her body temperature and warm her up from within. There's no need to be so modest. To warm up, haha, thanks, Ash. Yes, I heard body contact cheerfully, very effective. Turn around to face she's not wrong, but she's wrong in thinking that it's a truly effective solution. I hope we can continue this conversation. It's nothing more than an emergency measure to conserve body heat. She simply bowed in response to me calling out to her. Later, proceeded to I'd better press her to learn where or who she heard that. I couldn't find a chance. There are many waiting for an opportunity to misuse a piece of information like that. She's going to visit me, scheme to get Gray ask for my permission to Gray. The idea itself isn't wrong. There's also the possibility that she exactly my point, Gray, to the mansion. Lady Violet, this has become quite bothersome. What is she proposing? I want to
she's been
respect her
acting
good
weird these
intentions
past few
and
days
feel grateful
because she's
for
been
them,
ill,
but
there's nothing else that could make her
something
say
odd about the
things
timing.
like this.
Ash popped up.
Then could it
Take
be,
off your coat.
Lord
He's being
CLO.
wary, huh? In order to warm
It's
up
just my
Lady
guess,
Violet,
but I think
Mother.
Ash is
Hurry.
being wary of me.
Why wait?
I can also sense
help
the
him out,
same
Gray.
sense of wariness from Chartreuse. Maybe
Lady Violet.
Ash
You're
and
rather
Chartreuse
energetic
saw
for
their
someone
beloved
sick.
Ms. Nephrite
Stop.
approach the
Stop trying to
husband
strip
of the
me.
person they hate.
No.
Lady
Here we're
Violet,
presented with a
and
totally
hasten to remove her
incomprehensible
from my
situation
presence.
where a mother and son are trying
probably
to strip
knows the reason
their
why I
husband
was
slash
exiled
father.
to Shiki.
Ah, you little.
Well then,
stop clinging to my leg.
I scanned the
Lady Violet.
church and made a
Gray,
little
aren't you
bow
supposed to
when I
stop her?
spotted the
If
priest
anything,
and walked towards the door.
You see, Mother.
There's much to
Father
do.
feels
I need to
embarrassed
provide
to be the
assistance
only
to the
one with his
Azalea
clothes
Academy's
off.
investigation.
Oh, hear me
which is
out,
set
Gray.
to start tomorrow.
We should start with taking
and make
off our
introductions
coats.
to the blacksmith.
Noted.
Also, the
Stop.
first thing to be
Weird.
prioritized
There's been a sudden
is the
spike in
mental
the number of people
well-being
trying
of
to
Lady
strip
Violet.
these past few weeks.
I can't just leave her
Are you
be,
trying to tell me
even if it
that
means
Ms.
making
Schwartz's
Schwartz's predilection
predilection
to
to
lose
lose
her
her
clothes
or the
is
royal
contagious?
family?
I wish to
Ah,
protect her.
Damn it.
As
I'm
such,
having a hard time
I need to be
fending both of them
meticulous
off.
and
It
carefully
was much
plan my
easier to
steps.
calm down
Hear me out,
Chartreuse and Ms.
CLO.
Nephrite the other day. But
Just
now,
after leaving the church,
the moment I drop
and
my
closing
guard,
the door
they
behind
try to strip me.
A man,
So I'm finding
who's
it really
somewhat
hard
more
to
of
fight
a
them off.
nuisance than Ash
If someone
or
completely
Chartreuse
unrelated were to happen
appeared
upon the
before
scene.
me.
I made
I
all
have
that
no
effort to set up
idea
a
what
room
kind
to
of
spend a
misunderstandings
passionate
would
night
ensue.
in, and
In
went
my
around
effort to
Shiki
resist their
asking out all the
advances, I
girls,
flipped around,
but couldn't reel
facing the
in a
door
single
win.
one. It was
I'm
too
terribly
much
sorry
even for
to
me
intrude.
that I cursed
I
my
knocked on
own
the door
fate.
and waited a while.
Is that so?
I was about to leave since
If
no
you're
one
done
answered,
cursing your
but I
fate,
heard something like a
then I
scream,
need you to shut up
so
and go back home.
I made eye contact.
I already
with
have a
Ash,
ton of things
who
weighing
looked
on my
very
mind.
uneasy.
I'd like to ask you
I
not
wonder
to
why
add
he's
to them.
here.
Perhaps
However,
he's not here to
without
pester
bothering
Lady
to
Violet,
pay
but
any
because they've
attention to my
made progress
circumstances
with the
this
investigation.
man in front of me.
If that's the case,
Khaki,
then his
continue
timing
to speak
is awful.
making grand
Lady
gestures
Violet stiffened
as if
upon
he were
noticing
putting on a play.
Ash.
But trying to make
I heard the
sense of
girls from the
situation.
Azalea Academy.
Please
have
continue
arrived.
as you were.
Yeah.
Hold it.
This is truly
Screamed
a
I and
fateful
Lady
encounter.
Violet together.
The reason why I couldn't find a partner for tonight was because I needed to spend that time with these girls. Chapter
So,
45.
I ran over to
Cups
meet
are
them.
for guests.
This
All
is
right, for
black
now.
tea.
This is an
grown at the
oddly
foot of the
vexing
mountains in the
sequence
east.
of events that
Thank you.
seem to be connected
Gray
together,
took Ash to the reception
including
room
the punishment
and served him the
to
tea
this
he brewed.
exceedingly annoying,
After taking a sip,
optimistic,
Ash looked a
foolish,
little
lustful
surprised,
demon.
telling
Should I go with
Gray
my
that
fist?
found the tea
Oh,
delicious.
what was that, CLO?
Hearing this,
I knocked him
Gray
out with a
bowed,
punch straight
moved
to his
behind
face.
the sofa where I was
Khaki,
sitting and
a
stood
lover
with
boy
a
whose
beautiful
batting
posture.
range
starts at age
Sir Ash,
10
about
and
what you
ends at
saw a moment
70
ago.
as long as
No,
the person
I
is a
simply came here to
female.
report
A hero
and am
who
simply
doesn't mind
partaking in some
dwarf,
tea first.
elf,
That is
or
all.
an undead, as
Ash
long
was
as they have a
smiling
rough
and
figure of a
acting
woman.
as if the incident
is an
from
exceedingly
earlier hadn't
annoying,
happened. I do
resilient
appreciate his
optimist.
consideration.
Hence the
but
general
I don't want him to
consensus
have
in
any
Shiki
weird
is
misunderstanding.
that it's faster to
Though,
knock rather
as
than
long as
talk
he's
some
not
sense
breaching
into
the
him.
subject, it would be better if I didn't say anything either. Besides,
Chapter
there are
34,
other things that I
running
don't know
away
what to do
is
about
the most
compared to the
useful.
prior incident. In other words,
I did not
I
expect
have
for you to
demonic
be present
eyes.
as well.
What?
You have been avoiding us
What am
all
I even
this
doing?
time.
I've
So
been
what has
thinking
brought this
so
change
hard
of
about
heart,
what I do from
Lady
tomorrow
Valentine
because
Day,
the people I didn't
Baroness
want to meet right
Hartfield.
now are in Shiki
Yes,
that I've been
Lady
feeling
Violet
nauseous.
came with us to the
But now I'm
room
at the
where
mansion,
Ash is.
listening to
The atmosphere
Apricot's
is slightly
incomprehensible
awkward.
stories with
At first, I
Gray
was planning
and
to
Messiah.
handle him together
Well,
with Gray.
Cotty. But as
If
per
they're
her
demonic,
request,
then I
we're
must
here
exorcise
together.
them.
By the way,
And my
Lady
demonic
Violet's
cannot be
chills
dispelled
seem to
just
have
by
been
being
just her
exorcised.
imagination. For
I
some
intend
reason,
to take precautions
Apricot
later,
put her hand
but
on
for
the
now,
eye patch
I want to
over
respect
right
her
eye
will to face
and laugh
Ash.
suspiciously
I want a butt
with a fuff.
You're saying something
Recently,
strange,
I've become able
Austin.
to understand her
I've been
words a
put
bit.
in charge of
I
the
guess she
actual
thinks
work.
that it's cool to
Therefore,
have some kind of cursed
there is nothing
energy,
strange
but
in
she's
me
probably
listening
not
to the
actually
reports about
cursed.
Shiki.
Sanctuary.
Is that so?
No, certainly.
You suddenly
You
became
have always
serious?
excelled at both classroom
Lady
learning
Apricot,
and at actual
your
combat.
body is starting to
I'm sure you would be
sparkle
very
for some
adept
reason.
at paperwork too.
Yeah.
She's
However,
really sparkling.
you have to
after
listen to
being
the
hit
voices of
with
the
a
people,
purification spell
Ha
that
ha.
only works on
You're
the
making it
undead
sound like
and
I
the
don't
demons.
listen to the requests
Maybe
of
she
our
really
citizens
has something
and can only
demonic.
do administrative
Don't
work
worry,
while
I
locking myself.
She's
in the
only
mansion.
using a
What
tool
might you be
that
talking
temporarily
about? I
envelopes
said no
her
such
body.
thing. It
with
was
the
merely my
demonic
advice
energy that she
as
received
somebody
from
who is involved with
It's
business
not harmful
to some extent.
and it'll be dispelled
Really?
on its own after
That's
some
how it
time.
sounded to me, though.
Yes,
Was
that's
it my
so.
imagination?
Wait a second.
Just who
Yes,
exactly
it must have been your
is
imagination.
Orchid to be able to make something
What
like
should
that?
I do? This is
Who
scary.
knows?
I
A
feel
few
like
days
this
ago,
isn't the kind
she
of
was
matter
saying
that
that
can be
she'd be
swept
heartbroken
aside
if
with
she
just
met
a
him.
who knows. So I wonder why
But I
she
do
can
understand
act
that
so
they're a good
fearlessly
person
today.
who's loved
It may
by
be
the
a
people
welcome
of
thing,
Shiki,
but is it properly
fever,
scolds
after
people
all, when they're
It
doing
must be your
something
fever.
wrong?
Also,
So,
can't
you
those
damn
two
noble
do anything
blue,
about their dry
who can use
laughs?
sanctuary like normal,
So, what
even
kind
though
of
you have
business
a
has brought
water
you here
attribute?
today?
Would a servant of progress in the investigation really purify my dark powers? I coughed once to get Ash's attention on me. I don't think she did anything wrong. Even if there was progress with the servant of God, though. At most, they must have concluded that there were no abnormalities, or it's just an update of the information about the monster. Had it been somebody else in the same situation, I'd like to believe that's not the case, on the spot. But I'm hoping he didn't come here that things ended with just this much damage just to see Lady Violet and insult. I expected nothing less from you. There have been reports of a strange Gray applauded her with sparkling eyes, as usual. However, Ash is worried about him concerned something strangely, but Lord Cielo did say that unless this is different from what we found out, we should just watch over him quietly because he was having my information network. But is it really okay according to Ash? Until it seems that monsters have started becoming more active, pointing things out to people is something. Some of them, I know, moving maybe I shouldn't worry about it. Although their number is small, I know why they're making such a better to be cautious and acting more excited. This information would normally be doing it out of consideration for me. But since the information seems to be coming from the personal probably heard that I did something Academy students who were investigating that's why I don't want them to worry. As well as other travelers, Lord Cielo information seems to have went to Ash Lord Cielo returned home, who has been spreading greeted him with words that I've started to say a lot since Ms. Shiki. He looked a little tired. I wonder if something Schwartz promised me to not touch somebody from the Academy area. Do something. So I don't think she has anything to do with this. If so, come and think of it. I have to apologize. Ms. Robot also received an emergency call. You're late. Perhaps it was related to that matter. Sorry. I was dropping emergency off the call at home to Robot. It was key, huh? There was a report about break into the church. If I remember right. The report included that a wyvern was discovered. How did you figure that out from where it could be seen? I myself am a bit envious of some caution was for having a conversation. I think Robot burned that wyvern. Well then, crisp Lady Violet and everyone. Rip. After checking the information who were present and making sure that everybody was I'm the one who has to thank Lord Cielo for helping out so much during this investigation was holding. This was an emergency investigation at the request of the Second Prince. The party began. But thanks to you, it will end without. It all started suddenly after Lord Cielo opened the bottle rather than me helping brought. I'm the one who's sorry for all the trouble. Arrived a little late with a lot of alcoholic drinks. Lord Cielo, all six of us that's not good. Drinking together. Let's not think about strange. I've never really liked drinking alcohol. Anyway, once tomorrow is the last day. You have many opportunities to drink in social situations, and they will be heading home today. I've been practicing drinking. The closer you get to the end of this, I've also been warned by my father. The more you become distracted and accidents, alcohol will likely to occur. Well, I'll also try to not. I guess it doesn't matter prematurely. Lord Cielo, are you drinking? Io. I shook off my thoughts to not get distracted. Miss Cyan, and opened my eyes to see Lady has also been drinking at me. But I wonder if that's okay for the servant of God. Moreover, isn't she's too bad drunk, so it's a bit troublesome. Are you okay? I've also been drinking a little unwell because I was asked to, and I will handle Lord Cielo is reprimanding Cyan. I was just a little worried about Sir Ash's report. Hey, you debauched none. Really? Here's don't push yourself too hard. Favorite drink. It'll be no good if you collapse from worrying about the people. It's a drink considering what happened earlier. Alcohol. She's one to talk. It's surprisingly delicious. It looks like I made her worry. I drink it often refrain from thinking about I reckon that's not actually alcohol. You've changed your mind that's similar. Quickly. Oh, thinking of something while looking at us. Is it fine for a doctor? His tone was calm, but there was a hint of irritation and dismay. Ivory doesn't get drunk no matter how much he drinks, very well. And he always has so devoted to his instantly sobers him up. But now that you've merely been accepted on the surface, wait, you've become quite relaxed. This orchid that can make something. I'm sure this place must be quite comfortable. You can't just brush it away with who we are at. Wait, that's a lot of sarcasm. Also detecting. He even came up with something uncharacteristic of him. Who did the dirty work behind the scenes? So maybe he was already drunk when he came home. Befell His Highness. And it's unfair for only you guys to drink alcohol. Did in the past. Lord Cielo. So unforgivable. I would also like to have a sip. Maybe this is the reason Gray was drinking non-alcoholic. It's a personal choice to forgive puffing out his cheeks in dissatisfaction, and I have no intention of forcing the victim as expected. The perpetrator. We can't let a minor. But just like how he feels, I try to talk to Gray to make him understand actions. But Apricot, I don't think he can complain if we tapped Gray on the shoulder of his actions and spoke to him. You can't, my disciple. Masters like us have to grab a cup of tea we are 15 in order to make a counter-argument after calming down. We can't drink most alcoholic beverages. After all, we're at the age of 20 Lord Cielo's wife, and I love this law exists. It's not surprising that you would think we get along. Of the growth got IIT's hot. Lord Cielo, you also want to stay healthy and grow taller, which she declared while leisurely drinking tea. The fact that you try to stretch your back too strongly and broke that you are a child, resulting in the tea inside it's my special scalding me made with lemon soaked in honey and mixed with carbonated water. Fortunately, it's delicious. Didn't actually cut me, so let's drink it. It was still hot and painful. It's delicious. But what's with her so as expected of Lady Apricot? Are you all right, Lord Cielo? Who is this girl? Did you get burned or injured? I get that she's Apricot, call Ivory's acting too different from her usual behavior. First aid, or rather, I feel like usually she would have been envious and would drink alcohol painful or hot.
Phew.
I simply
Besides, there are
explained
ways to have
because
the
fun
stimulus was
exactly
too sudden.
because you're not drunk.
Lady Violet looked worried about whether I was lying.
You
After
all are
she
drunk.
looked at my hand,
Therefore, I shall show you my
confirmed that there were no
creator's gift.
injuries.
Your
She
tongue
cooled it
is
down
dulled when you're
slightly with
drunk.
the use of
Just
low-tier
wait
water
patiently.
magic and felt relieved after seeing
You making
that I was
snacks for
fine.
us, Cotty?
KH, what's this?
Yes.
I'll
It's
show
so
you
abrupt
something that can be
that I
made
can't
in a few
understand
minutes
what's happening.
and is also
Still,
suitable for the
it would be
nectar.
better to treat
Thus, I will
let's
be
apply
borrowing your
antibacterial
kitchen.
ointment.
And this is
for the
something
skin.
that I've already
Sorry,
made.
Austin.
That was forgive my
fast.
rude behavior,
Or rather,
but I want to treat my husband.
You already made it?
Are you
And it's
fine with
delicious.
ending today's
As
conversation
expected
here?
of you, Cotty.
Yes, I don't mind.
No, really.
Who is
Lady
this girl?
Violet told Gray
Yeah.
to send Ash
Apricot
off and
is
took
the
me with
best
her.
cook out of everybody
It seemed like
here.
she wasn't
Is she
leaving
a
the
true
room to
maid
chase off Ash
because she lives
but rather
alone
she was
and
genuinely
takes care of
worried
herself?
about me.
Oh, it's really
I'm
delicious.
happy, but also embarrassed.
I'll ask her to teach me how to make it next.
To think that
Maybe.
you could make that
No,
kind of expression.
that's not what I meant. I feel like
Her
Ash
cooking
muttered
is
something before he
delicious,
left,
and the
but I
alcohol
couldn't
Lord
quite catch
CLO
and Ivory brought is also unexpectedly delicious. But this isn't what I should be doing. Chapter
Lord
46,
CLO.
a
Yes.
feeling similar
When
to
I called out to
so-called
Lord
hate
CLO,
of the same
he gave a more
kind.
laid-back reply.
Final
than usual.
day of the
Is he really
Azalea
drunk?
Academy.
I don't know if I'll be
investigation.
able to hear his true
even though it's the
intentions
last
about
day
the current
of the
situation
investigation
while he's in
the
this
area
state.
of
But I want to
Shiki
ask at
isn't
least.
big enough for
You
the
might be
scope
doing
of
it out of
investigation to be
consideration for
wide.
me.
But
So
even
the
if he
students
didn't
are
do
essentially
this, I
free
would.
to roam around.
Lady Violet,
Basically,
you can't change the
they just have to
past.
coordinate dates
However,
with groups that are
Lord
investigating
CLO
other
answered
locations.
me in a more serious
Ash,
tone than
who
I
ended up
expected.
being in
We
charge
also
of
made a
monitoring.
lot of mistakes
Since there are no
in different
teachers to
places than
accompany the
Shiki.
investigation,
But everybody is trying to enjoy
you are
living
free
in the
to be
present.
diligent.
While we
But
should
please
shoulder
remember
our
that it's
sins,
not good if you
we
don't
have
take
to fight
breaks.
alone. Declared so, sometimes it's
tacitly
good to forget
condoning free
everything
action.
when you're
However,
feeling down.
he would still
It's like that.
criticize people who
It's
went
like the
too
Republicans
far.
saying
He seems to have
it's a
shared the
disgrace to run
information
away,
about the rare
but it's
sighting,
useful.
so others
In
will
other
keep
words,
in mind.
choose
But
your
since there are
battles.
parts of the information
Running
that are
away is
ambiguous,
disgraceful.
Other students seem
but
to
it's
have
useful.
really just kept
In
it
other
in the corner
words,
of their minds.
choose your battles.
Anyway,
It is important
each
to
student
fight
was spending
against
their
the
time
mistakes of the
freely.
past.
But
Some
do
students
not
went to the
mistake
nun,
who you are
Cyan,
fighting.
to
You
learn
have
martial
allies in
arts.
Shiki too.
Some students
so you
went to
don't
the
have to
lustful
deal with
demon
everything
marquee.
alone.
Lord
Tacky
CLO must want to say
learn
that I
how
should
to
look
woo
at my
women.
current allies.
Some
too.
students had passionate
Hearing
talks
that,
with the
I
blacksmith
looked at
Bly
Gray and the
about
others who were
shows.
making merry.
Some students learned
He's
how
right.
to grow mushrooms
I still haven't
from a black
recovered,
mage,
but it should be
Orchid.
okay to enjoy
I
this
feel like there's
brief
something wrong with
instance
the
without
teachers
thinking
and
about
what they
anything
teach.
else. But that
By the
has to
way,
be my imagination.
his wording also means that you can run
Isn't this
away from your current
poisonous?
environment too.
It's poisonous
serious?
when it's raw or
No,
heated up.
I didn't mean it that
But if you
way.
soak it in
Though
lime,
I
with
guess
this
both mean to
combination,
not let
the
yourself be
poisonous
trapped.
reaction will disappear.
Foo-foo, I
Oh,
know.
but be careful.
Lord CLO.
It'll still be poisonous.
I smiled
for
at Lord
elves.
CLO.
For
who
half
looked
panicked
too,
and drank
if they're
the
mixed with
alcohol
other
that was
blood,
poured for
there
me
won't be
in
any
one gulp.
problems.
They'll probably
I
feel
mustn't
a little
drink
sick
too
though.
much or say
I see.
strange things after getting
And Ms.
drunk.
Nephrite was
but just
being taught
enjoying
about
myself
plants
should be
by the
fine.
perverted poison
Is it bad that I'm weak?
enthusiast.
Emerald.
Sorry for not
Although
being
she's
able
a
to forget
pervert
his
who
highness
ingests
words.
poison herself.
It should be fine to just
her knowledge
bad talk
of poisonous
that girl whom he likes
and
in my
edible
heart, at
plants
least.
is first.
If I met his highness
as
again,
someone who uses
I'd
alchemy
probably be
magic,
flustered anyway.
Ms. Nephrite
When I
must have
sober
a lot
up, I
to
might
learn from
regret all
Emerald.
this.
By the way,
Come on, let's
if you
drink,
boil it,
Lord
and
CLO.
soak it into cold water
Ash,
before eating
Father,
it, your
and
body will
chartreuse
turn
don't
out in
matter
just the
today.
right way, and
Oh,
you'll be able to
good
vomit.
drinking, Lady
That
Violet.
sensation is
Let's pick up the
really
pace.
something you should experience.
But we can't
at
drink
least
the
once in your
alcohol
life.
that's against the law.
Do you want to eat it?
Let's not set
Yeah,
a bad
I'd rather
drinking
not.
example for
I
minors.
see.
Lord
It's a
CLO.
delicacy, though.
Ah, yes.
You're sure interested
Yes.
in it. We must
Are
distinguish
they
that
okay?
part.
It
We
might
can't
be a
just
good
let
idea
ourselves go like
to have a
Ms.
medic
Cyan.
medicine on hand
Then,
in case
the
of
mansion
emergency.
chime rang.
I should also
and a
contact
person entered
Ivory
inside
or
after
Ash,
the door was
just in
opened.
case.
Wow.
In addition,
AM.
there's a reason why
Impressed.
Ms. Nephrite
You.
isn't
Oh.
going to meet Lady
Oh.
Violet,
Thank
even though she has free
you.
time.
Very.
She
Much.
and Lady Violet are
So you were
scheduled
also
to meet
invited,
today,
robot.
or tomorrow.
Here's a
which I
glass
helped
for the
relay to her.
latecomer.
Lady
Thank
Violet is
you.
currently busy
Very.
with reports
Much.
from the Valentine
Ivory.
family.
Fun.
Even so, when
really
I told her that a
does
student from Azalea
seep
Academy,
into
who was also
my
involved in the duel,
body.
wanted to meet her,
Wait,
she said
how
that
is
she'd
Ms.
meet
Robot
them
drinking in
after
that
a little
condition?
hesitation. To be honest, I'm worried. But if that's what she wants to do, I'll simply give her all my support. And there's also something I'm concerned about. It's about Ms. is Nephrite's behavior. As far as I remember, there was no place called Shiki in the Ring of Fire. Then I'll keep coming back until you acknowledge Violets and retract your words. Being expelled from school after the duel, married off to an ugly man in the countryside, and being treated in all sorts of perverted ways. I'm sorry, Nephrite. I also have things I can't compromise on either. Char. But if possible, don't you char him. I don't want to think of myself you didn't look at him ugly with man, that boy, and I want to believe that I haven't treated her. You'll be causing me a lot of problems in any case. Stay here on there's no event of the what should I do? Receiving training. To be honest, I was just thinking about whether or not to make him during this period. But at this rate, this guy might really stay in Shiki. If that happens, there's an event where she leaves the academy for investigation. but I don't think
gestured to the two of them to leave things to me.
If characters with such strong personalities had appeared to Mr. Bly, I'd remember them whether I wanted it.
What is it,
or
CLO?
not. I won't
And although she
compromise
seems
on
close
this,
with
even
Ash
if it's a
and
request from
Chartreuse,
the Lord,
who are the love
I
interest
understand
in the
that
game,
much.
it doesn't
This
feel like
person
they're
won't
going
do a
out.
job he doesn't
In
like.
the game,
Even if
the
it's a
heroine
request
would
by a
join the
nobleman or the
investigation
king
group
himself.
of the love interest.
And he also
She
knows
was getting
that he's
along
skilled
with,
enough
depending on the
that
route.
his selfishness
And it will be followed
will
by
be
an
forgiven.
accident that would help
But
them get closer.
let's put some conditions on
However,
it. Conditions,
if it's a true
yes,
ending
beneficial
or
conditions
route
for you.
where she solves
What on earth
all
are you talking
problems
about?
using only her
I
own
clapped
body,
twice loudly
commonly
with
known as
3
the
pairs
Iron
of
Woman
eyes on
route.
me.
It's a different story.
Then,
With
well,
that
if
as
I've
a
simply been
signal,
given life
the door
in a
to the
world that's
Smithy
similar to the
person who I had
game that
waiting
my sister
outside
played in my
came in.
previous life.
Hey, isn't this my
And
sweet
all this
angel?
probably wouldn't apply.
In front of
Yes,
me
it was
is
gray.
a living,
Chartreuse
being.
and Nephrite.
It's not
were
like she's a
shocked
puppet
by
that's
Mr.
moving
Bly's
due to a
incomprehensible
convenience
words
or
that were
compulsion.
different from his
Even if I
previous
do have a certain amount of
craftsman-like demeanor.
information,
Good
there is
morning,
no
Sir
guarantee
Bly.
that it would
You have
be
been
true.
working from early
Maybe
in
I'm
the
being
morning
too
today as well.
self-conscious, but there could be a
No.
so-called butterfly
Thank you for coming to
effect
this stuffy
caused by
place
my
this
existence.
early in the
And
morning.
because of it, I don't know what might
What
have
are you up to
changed.
today?
My task,
Mr. Bly
is
put
to
down
think
his
about the
tools
information
and
in
approached
front of
Gray
me.
with a confused
First of all,
but
when it comes to
happy
treatment,
expression.
you must
I
consider
gestured to the
location,
confused
race, and
Chartreuse
age.
and Ms.
There are some
Nephrite
effective
with my arm
medicines,
to back away,
but there is no
and watch
panacea.
the unfolding
Just
show.
as honey
Yes,
is poisonous to
I have
young
heard
children.
that Lord Chartreuse,
Both magic and
the
medicine,
former
can
schoolmate
bring
of
more
my new
harm
master,
if they're used
Lady
a little
Violet.
well. Would be acquiring a
I
new
understand.
weapon. So
However,
I came as
this
Lord
medicine
Ciello's
book
companion.
contains a
Yes,
tremendous
that's
amount
so.
of information.
Did you hear our
If
conversation
you don't
by
mind,
chance?
I will report it to the
No.
kingdom. I was told by
My
Lord
book is
Ciello
banned in the
to wait
kingdom
outside
because of some idiots.
So I couldn't hear
It would be a
anything
waste of
due to
time.
the sound of the
Even if it
iron
comes
being
from
hammered.
somebody from a
Was there a
marquee
problem?
family like you.
Nope, nothing.
Is that
Nothing
so?
at all. Ash was
Mr.
learning
Bly was
treatment
relieved
from the
by
perverted
Gray's
doctor,
words while Gray had a
idly.
questioning look
As somebody
on
who
his face.
serves the royal family
Sorry,
and
Gray.
supports all
Please forgive me
races,
for using
he
you.
probably wants to gain
Hey,
all
Gray,
kinds of knowledge.
if I remember right,
without a
you
desire
were supposed to help the students of Azealia
He wouldn't be
Academy
able to
with their
serve as His
investigation
Highness
today.
attendant. in
Yes,
his future
that's what I had
confidant.
planned.
By the way,
Actually,
I
it
can
looks
even
like
fix
Mr.
arms that have
Bly
been
needs some
blown
help
off.
to finish up
It'll
Sir
probably feel
Chartreuse's
strange
weapon.
for a few days,
Why?
though.
Not only
Come on.
Mr. Bly,
Do you want to experience it
but also
yourself?
Chartreuse.
I do not.
And Ms. Nephrite
This-
looked at me.
You really clicked your tongue
wondering
at me
what
like
the hell
that.
I was talking about.
Will those two be okay?
All right, I knew in advance
Ivory will click
that
his
Mr.
tongue
Bly
at
had some
anybody,
free time to work
unless
with,
the other
and I know
person's
that things can
royalty.
work out with just
So
finishing.
watching them
so it's fine.
is making me nervous.
In other words,
I should
that's
help
how
Mr. Bly
badly he was
and
treated
not
by
the
the kingdom.
investigation.
So it
Yeah,
can't
can I
be
leave it
helped.
to you?
But his
Also,
desire to save a
we'll
lot
be
of
investigating
people
until
and his
3
loyalty
p.m.
towards the
So can
royal
you stay with
family
Mr.
is
Bly
genuine.
until then?
So it's
If you're
troubling.
done with finishing
That's why he
up
wants to
Sir
return to the
Chartreuse'
kingdom
weapon
and heal
You can have tea
injuries.
with him until
Good
it's
grief.
time.
You just
or
say
have
the
lunch
most
with him.
non-committal
You don't have
things,
any
don't
other
you?
work to do.
What do you mean,
After
Silver
all.
Riser?
Mr. Bly caught my drift from my words, and his
Silver what?
eyes filled up
Anyway,
with motivation.
Words alone
It was
have
as if his
no
craftsmanship
They
spirit
gain meaning
was ignited.
only after they've
It's
been
a
put into
nasty
action.
fire.
Cease
I
with trying to
understand,
keep
but is that
appearances
okay?
and work hard
I doubt
to
I would
learn
be
how
of
to put them in
any use
action.
to the blacksmith.
What are you talking
You
about?
will. My
As
magic
long as
and
you're
combat
here,
abilities
the
will
quality of
never
my
lose
weapons
to
will be
your
doubled.
sword. Well,
I see.
anyone can preach
I will
with
do my
just
best.
words. What did
Mr.
you
Bly
say?
got to work while
Come on,
probably
there's
shouting
nothing
hell
to be
yeah
ashamed
in
of.
his heart.
Riser, you probably can't put any significance in your strength, and that's why you can only speak words for keeping up appearances. Wow, now you said it. And why are Apricot and Chartreuse starting a fight? I'd already thought that their personalities were incompatible, but now they're in an explosive state. Perhaps knowing his strength, the Azalea Academy students are looking at him from afar, with nobody trying to get close, and Ash and Ms. Nephrite, who might be able to stop him, are somewhere else. As for Apricot, she's difficult to handle, and her talent and magic is real. So rather than the residents watching her from a distance, they're more watching over her with the mindset of watching their granddaughter and thinking Kadi is so energetic today, too. A foo-foo. Please just stop her. I beg you. Sir Chartreuse, Apricot, please stop fighting. So I had no choice but to step in and stop them. But these guys are still glaring at each other, even with me in between them. If I had found them a little later, I might have gotten dragged into a fight. Don't stop me, Baron. My sword isn't meant to hurt women and children. But I'm not so patient to sheath my blade after being mocked. Yeah, I know that. You're just a muscle brain wearing the mask of calmness. Don't stop me, Mr. CLO. I'm not mature enough to stay calm after having my abilities belittled. Yeah, I know that too. Your stance is to never run from a fight. If you start fighting at a place like this, I will have to report to the Azalea Academy. It will be fine as long as you stay silent, Baron. That's it. That's right. Hey, you too. Don't joke around. Make up your mind if you get along or not. If a noble from a Viscount family, who's also the son of the Knight Commander, gets in a fight with a citizen and is hurt, it'll decide that it was the fault of the Lord's complete lack of supervision. I don't want you two to get hurt. Oomph. There's no way this guy could ever injure me. What did you say? They talked at the same time and glared at each other. You guys really do get along. What should I do? If I try to call the father, who could stop them? They might pick a fight with me. And if I call Cyan, she might instigate things more. It's troublesome, so I'll just let them fight it out. They won't tell others no matter which one of them loses. So I'll use the favor Chartreuse owes me for getting him a weapon to put pressure on other students. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Well then, if I judge it to be dangerous, I will stop you. For safety reasons, we will be using mock weapons. You can use magic until the protection charm that can withstand a certain level of damage is destroyed. The venue will be the plaza. Is that fine? Oomph. I have no complaints. Stop imitating me. You guys do get along, after all. Author's note. Iron Woman route. It's a playful route that can only be played after unlocking the true ending, where main character becomes so strong that she's unrivaled and solves all problems by herself. She can kill dragons and evil gods with a single blow. She also mass-produces Philosopher's Stone. She can probably easily destroy a country. Although all problems are resolved in this route, it seems that Villainous Violet leaves in the middle of this route as well. Chapter 47, Two Different Worlds. The concept of strength is different for everyone. It could be martial or strategic prowess, positional or physical power. Those who consider themselves strong would never let their weaknesses dictate their life and are therefore strong. Those who consider themselves weak are capable of discerning the strength in others and are therefore strong. It's something I read in my previous life, and it made me ponder. In short, strength means something different for different people. Did you say your name was Apricot? You shall learn just how sinful words that aren't backed by merit are. Right back at you. Have you come up with what excuses to say to the children you're supposed to protect when you lose? Something like you lost the battle, but you will win the war because you shall protect them. Maybe. You'd better not moan that you lost because your weapon was no good. Oomph. I'll take you up on that. Oomph. Bring it on. That said, the reason behind this display of strength is a little complicated. I agree that willfulness is often rooted in strength, but I'd rather they didn't flex their strength in the weirdest of places. I'll take you up on that, my ass. Bring it on, my ass. I swear these guys had this all set up in advance. That could be the only reason why they are so in tandem. Care to explain, Baron Hartfield? Ash joined us when the two were about to go at it, and demanded an explanation as he narrowed his eyes at me. Please don't look at me that way. This is the decision they reached after a compromise. It's not my fault they look so fired up. It's a long story. In a word, fight. All right. Ash cut down my attempt at smoothing things over with his forceful yet curt words. I look pretty pathetic. I'd rather Lady Violet didn't see me right now. One would normally expect Ash to intervene and put a stop to the fight, but perhaps he knew there was no stopping Chartreuse when he got this way, for he sighed and turned to me. That young lady called Apricot, how strong would you say she is? From Ash's point of view, Apricot is probably just a weird girl who speaks nonsense. Her appearance does give her the flair of a witch, but can also be quite hard to see past it. That said, if I were to comment on her abilities, just in terms of magical power, she's the best in all of Shiki. Yeah, only in terms of power. Enough to be Gray's master, a boy who is so talented that I ran out of things to teach very quickly. She could easily be the top student at the academy. You don't say. Apricot's abilities are exceptional. Let's go. A wooden sword on one side, a staff on the other. The match kicked off with each armed with a self-defense charm capable of absorbing a portion of damage from attacks. By controlling the amount of mana that goes into the charm, its damage absorption capacity can be loosely modulated. It's also reusable. As to its effectiveness, I hear it's an absolutely essential item in any fight, but that's up for debate. The simple reasons being, its effect is short-lived, Imbuing the charm with mana is not a quick process, and less though it may be, it transmits some damage to the user, resulting in some pain. As such, it can only be used in mock battles like these. Enhance leg strength, enhance arm strength, enhance vision, enhance hearing, enhance senses commence. Despite it only being a mock battle, rapid casting of magic buffs could be heard as soon as the match commenced. The speed at which the buffs were cast and time it took for it to take effect would leave any onlookers flabbergasted. In fact, certain Azalea Academy students who witnessed the magic looked completely spellbound. Ash was one of them, and though he looked worried for Apricot until then, his expression changed to one of caution the instant he saw her magic. Rapid. However, Chartreuse didn't falter and stepped forward, closing the distance in a flash and swinging his sword without hesitation. Ouch! The sword that aimed to the left of her torso didn't quite fully connect and grazed Apricot as she jumped back, her face distorting in pain. So he is fast enough for her to feel pain from just a graze. Not to mention, it was done with a wooden sword and to an opponent armed with a number of buffs. Chartreuse is still a fledgling, both mentally and ability-wise, and as such isn't able to match up to his parents who are both knight captains themselves, but his strength is evident. Does that mean he's in the route intended for the Chartreuse in the game? If I'm not wrong, the way he holds his sword is reminiscent of something Nephrite recklessly unleashed when backed to a corner and later converted into a move. This won't do. I need to stop thinking about the game. Slow. Chartreuse didn't ease up. He held the wooden sword in both hands, fixed his stance, and followed up with a thrust. His movements were seamless, unfaltering, and were truly like the wind. Slow indeed. However, Apricot predicted his move and dodged it by letting the sword slide in the gap between her body and left arm. She would normally be unable to dodge an attack that fast, but likely from the buffs she cast on herself earlier, Apricot was easily able to react to his current level of speed. Before he could draw the sword out, she clamped on it using her enhanced strength. Once he tried and failed to retrieve it, she aimed her staff at him. So she intends to unleash her magic at point-blank range. Naive. Regardless, Chartreuse dealt with the situation calmly. Faced with the threat of an imminent, close-range magic attack, rather than trying in vain to pull out the sword that was stuck in place, or try to dodge the attack, he simply let go of the sword and stepped forward. There's a small delay between cast and activation with offensive magic. Using that loophole, if one could be faster than the spell, they can make one's opponent lose focus, thereby dispersing the magic before it's cast. Meaning, if something can't be solved with your sword, then just use your fist. Chartreuse eyed Apricot's abdomen and let his fist loose. Right back at you. Apricot didn't lose control of her magic. Rather, she smiled as if she'd expected him to do just that. Chartreuse reacted with surprise at her words, but it was already too late, and the magic circle set up in advance on her abdomen, which activated upon contact, was triggered. So she threw in a magic circle disguised as a buff. Concerto. A coordinated attack from the magic circle and her staff. The magic struck the Chartreuse, who had become defenseless after being caught off guard. Shield. Just before it hit him, he chanted a defensive spell to reduce some of the damage taken, and while the smoke from the magic engulfed the air, he stepped back to regain his footing. At the same time, making use of her loosened grip due to the recoil from the magic, he retrieved his sword and, armed once again, he got ready to respond to his opponent's attacks as he jumped back and landed on his feet. However, that's exactly what Apricot wanted. Circle A, Circle Alpha, Circle B, commence. I get it. You're not all talk. Upon witnessing her magic, Chartreuse acknowledged Apricot's strength, albeit a little. Multiple red and purple magic circles emerged behind Apricot, each strong enough to easily kill a D-class monster, and all of them aimed at Chartreuse. Back during the Fenrir attack, if not for the unfavorable location, or having to protect two people, or Fenrir's high resistance to magic and its tough body, it would have been all too easy for her to deal with it. However, The same could be said for Chartreuse. His ancestors were not only master swordsmen, but also archwizards, and he is still yet to reach his potential in both. He's still in the process of honing his skills. Enchant. He got into his stance. He aimed at the point that would help him cut through the gaps in the magic. It was the duty of a knight to pave the way to survivability. System Labyrinth. Flash. Both of their attacks clashed with one another. It made me realize that those two live in a totally different genre from me. Frankly, I felt envious. Even the onlookers were watching them with bated breath. Battling using magic is something that can only be enjoyed in a world with magic. Even I have once wanted to wake up with a demon's eye or unleash super flashy magic. Spectating their battle involving the free use of magic, I recalled a somewhat dark past of mine, and it made me envious. Chapter 48. This strange feeling bubbling to the surface. A sigh in the office. I was taught never to sigh unless it was to vex my opponent. However, I couldn't help but let out a sigh or two while reading the report on my desk. Lady Violet, I brought you some black tea. Thanks, Gray. Perhaps Gray, who had stayed back to welcome visitors in lieu of a secretary, could discern exhaustion from my face. After all, he had purposefully made me some tea. It's wonderfully delicious. He's added just the right amount of sugar, and not a single nitpick can be made in the way he had brewed it. Gray is second to none when it comes to making black tea or coffee. You're really good at brewing tea, Gray. You flatter me, milady. I complimented Gray, which he accepted with a respectful bow. His demeanor was truly that of a secretary or butler, but given his age, one would probably take him for a kid who has had a strict upbringing. Gray, why don't you relax, even just a little, when you're at home? Gray's my son by marriage. As it's only been 2 months since we met, I can't fault him for being reserved around me. Also, since I have been keeping him at a distance, it's only natural that we aren't close. However, the nature of our relationship makes me feel a bit sad. That said, I'm aware he's a good kid. That wouldn't do, milady. If I don't follow proper conduct under normal circumstances, it's possible that I'd mess up when it matters most. Gray has closed off his heart to me, or rather, maybe his conduct is true to his nature. He always speaks politely to Lord CLO, which makes me wonder if he's decided that I and Lord CLO are people deserving of respect, and that serving us brings him pleasure. It's not all too unusual to speak politely with family. I was the same way with my parents. However, I refer to them as father and mother, and never by their name. Well then, what should I do? If I want Gray to be himself, then perhaps I should maintain the status quo. Also, I'm not quite familiar with how a normal family interacts with each other. My father never showed any interest in me, and my mother and I hardly exchanged words outside of social settings. After a certain age, I only met my brothers on rare occasions. In short, I don't quite comprehend the desired distance between family members. When it comes to Gray and Lord CLO, though the former addresses the latter politely, it's obvious that they have a relationship built on mutual trust, and I want a similar amiable relationship with Gray. Gray, there's only the two of us here. Would you at least address me differently? Address, milady? How about Mrs. Hartfield? The distance between us grew ever so much wider. I'm rather shocked to hear that form of address from Gray. Please stop. Mother Violet. Right, he did call me that yesterday, too. I'm not sure if it's all right to address me that way in public, but I wish it were more affectionate. That designation somewhat reminds me of my own mother. Mama, I don't know what this is. I feel something strange bubbling to the surface, a feeling I've never experienced before. I would have been happy with him just dropping my name and simply calling me mother, but Gray went one step further, closing the distance between us. Calm down. I'm different from that blacksmith. But what is this feeling? This feeling of being called mama by a young boy akin to a small animal with big, soulful eyes. That certainly doesn't suit me. I should revert to calling you mother. It suits you, so say it one more time. I grabbed hold of Gray by his shoulders and hounded him. To be frank, it's rather embarrassing to be called mama,
so it's better if he calls me mother, but I don't know why it feels like if I miss this chance, then I can never hear him call me that again. What's the matter? You sound like Mr. Bly. Act. Why are you holding your head? Looking crushed. I'm not like him. I'm nothing like that perverted blacksmith. Gray, who hasn't realized the truth about him, innocently pointed out a resemblance, hurting me in the process. No, I just wanted us to grow closer together as a family. I'm not going off the rails. Well, was I not excited about being called Mama by someone who's more like a younger brother to me? Then I'm really a pervert. I'm not like Mr. Bly. 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 Come back to me, Lady Violet. Did my form of address really affect you that badly? This won't do. I was about to place a curse as a form of escapism. As it is, Gray is so easily influenced. So long as we live in Shiki, there's no guarantee that he would not be influenced by something weird. So I need to stand tall and be a good role model for Gray. I'm fine, Gray. Also, about how you address me. Just call me whatever, whenever you feel like. Yes. I understand. Gray looked at me and drew back a little. Granted, if a simple address is all it took for someone to act very weird, then anyone would be bewildered. I suppose it's going to take some time until he can call me mother without any reservations. Maybe when we were deciding how to address each other the day after I got here, if I had just asked me to address me as mother in general, then maybe we wouldn't be. Did someone drop by? I can hear the doorbell. I wonder if it's a visitor. Let me go take a look. Thanks. Gray bowed and swiftly but quietly exited the office. He's a really shrewd kid. Maybe even more so than my old maid, Amber. A visitor, huh? I don't remember us having anything scheduled today. Today in particular, we aren't supposed to have any other appointments. I checked our schedule with Lord CLO after the messenger from the Valentine family stopped over. In that case, it could be a traveler or a peddler. Or it could be someone with something urgent to report. I need to brace myself even more than ever if it's an academy student. Come to think of it, I need to go meet someone. I suddenly remembered making plans to meet with an academy student. The one wanting to meet me was a female student who I apparently dueled with once. Lord CLO, try to be subtle about it, but if it's a female student who dueled with me, then it has to be her. I was quite surprised to learn that she was here in Shiki, but I can't just avoid her. Having His Highness fall in love with her, charming Ash and the others, mingling and treating both commoners and nobility alike with a smile on her face. She was a classmate whose virtues I was unable to see when I was acting out of control. I should try to calm down before leaving to meet her. I should apologize first when I see her. Though her conduct against me and upper society as a whole was absurd, and she never tried to understand that, it still doesn't excuse my behavior. However, would it be all right if I bragged about being happily married to Lord CLO? I certainly want to see her stunned expression upon hearing of how close we are. However, I'm not good at humble bragging. It would probably end with her worrying about my well-being. Even back then, Gray was worried for me. And that was when I realized that some time had passed since I'd started contemplating on things to be done. That's weird. Gray should have come back to report to me by now. I wonder if he's still talking at the door. I can't put it past easily influence Gray to not be taken in by any weird canvassing. I guess I should discreetly check on the situation. Gray? I got to the front door, only to find no one there and the door ajar. With no trace of having welcomed anyone inside, I looked around outside the open door to find no one near. Gray? I called out once again. There was no response. Chapter 49, Ku. Z. Ha-fu-fu-fu. Do you recognize my strength now? Riser Fuya. After the duel, Apricot was gasping for air. She was using her cane not as an aid for magic, but to support her body, which was how it was originally used in my previous life. Apricot's magical ability is the real deal. She can really use magic that one might believe she had only been bragging about. Naturally, looking at the way she could consequently activate magic earlier, it's obvious that she has quite a lot of mana. However, in terms of physical abilities,
she's slightly below average compared to human girls of her age. If she casts multiple body-strengthening spells that cause recoil despite all this, she'll naturally be left gasping for air. Lady Apricot, I apologize for my previous statement. Magic skills like yours are among a class, even in the academy. On the other hand, while Chartreuse was showing some fatigue, he was acting firm. He made one realize that there was literally a difference of heaven and earth between their physical abilities. That being said, he was directly hit by magic, and he probably wouldn't come out without major injuries if he hadn't had his protection charm. In any case, Chartreuse seemed to have also recognized Apricot's abilities during this fight. In the end, it all ended in a draw as their protection charms were shattered at the same time. So he had to admit it. Fufufu, if you understand, then it's fine. I did not expect you to handle my magic to that extent. Also, don't call me Lady Kohyu. Hey, Apricot, these are lemons pickled in water and bees' nectar. Help yourself if you like them. You too, Sir Chartreuse. Thank you very much, Mr. CLO Kafu. Actually, I was going to eat it later, but it's fine for the occasion. Apricot looks like she would collapse on the spot if I leave her alone, though she also looks as if she would throw up if she ate. Well, I can't just ignore your kindness. I shall eat too. Although he was worried about his surroundings, Chartreuse reached for the lemons that were soaked in bees' nectar, perhaps judging that it wouldn't look strange if he ate it now. Come to think of it, I think he had convinced himself that liking and eating sweet things would make him a weakling. In other words, he was hiding that he liked them. Still, he cares too much about such small matters. It permeates through, but it tastes different than usual. Apricot, who had started speaking politely, said quizzically while eating. Indeed, it was made by Lady Violet and not me or Gray. But is it something one can understand with a single bite? That was a wonderful fight, you two. It was a match that you don't see very often, even at the academy. Ash, who was quietly looking at those two deliciously eat, came over. I wonder if he's actually praising them genuinely, without any double meaning to his words. Considering his personality, I doubt he would just praise them, so it's making me anxious. Ms. Apricot, was it? With that magic ability, you can apply to our Azalea Academy as well. How about it? I will recommend you. So why don't you attend the academy next year? Just a moment ago, he was treating her like a delusional kid, though. Is that decision really okay? Hearing Ash's words, Apricot, who had been breathing heavily until now, got a proud expression on her face. She flipped her cloak and struck a pose. Phew, my magic use is high lost engage, so I had no plans of becoming a Johnny. But it's a different matter if a linker like Riser is there. I might use this answer when making an attractor. Go foo. You can show off all you want, but do it after you've caught your breath. I rubbed Apricot's back to calm her down. I will leave it to you, Baron Hartfield. Does Ash think that I'm some kind of a dictionary or something? Oh, let's see. For me, there's nothing much to learn about magic at the academy, so I had no intention of becoming a student, but it's a different story if there's somebody as strong as him there. I can consider attending it. At that time, I might have to rely on you. I see. Why does Johnny mean a student? Please ask Apricot herself for more details. Although there's something wrong with me for understanding her too. Well then, Ash looked like he didn't understand anything, but his tone changed slightly, as if to say that compliments were now over. It's true, there was a great duel, but what were you two thinking, starting a fight and escalating it into a duel? Hearing Ash's words, which he said while smiling, Chartreuse stiffened and Apricot tried running away, realizing that she was about to be lectured. Invisible, I won't let you use magic. Before Apricot could do anything, Ash grabbed her shoulder, and at the same time, he also grabbed Chartreuse's shoulder to keep them from escaping. I try to stop them, you know. The responsibility is on both of them. I sneaked away from the two who were being lectured before the sparks started flying towards me too. When I looked around, after walking a little further away, I noticed that the students that had been watching from a distance had also started to sneak away. Are they used to seeing Ash in that state? Their response was quick. What should I do? What should I do now? It's a little early for lunch, and even if I go back to the mansion, there's a chance Lady Violet is still working. Since I don't know when she's going to finish, it's probably for the best if I don't go back right away, so I'll look around a little bit. Lord CLO. Suddenly, I heard a voice from behind me. I don't even have to turn around to recognize who the owner of this voice is. But what brought her here? Did she come to see Ms. Nephrite after finishing her business with the Valentine family? If so, it's a bit sudden. It makes me nervous. Did something happen, Lady Violet? I turned around and confirmed that it was Lady Violet. She was wearing the same clothes she wore before I went outside, and they didn't look very easy to move in. Judging from her appearance, she probably had something to ask me. Yeah, I have something to ask. With a somewhat worried look on her face. Have you seen Gray? Lady Violet asked me anxiously that you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.